Yes.
So are these different pictures from different time periods?
So the date correlation would be, so the first one, Saturday, February 12th, 2022, you would start looking at everything underneath that belonging to that date and time. And I take screenshots in chronological order, and I always try to include the image above and below just to make sure there isn't any way to say that images were skipped or passed over. So you'd want to follow along chronologically, that any image that is after the one on page 1 that goes to page 2, which then goes to page 3, would all be under Saturday, February 12th, 2022. I'd have to see the screenshot below the December one to make a decision on that one, but from the ones I'm seeing, these would all be under the February 12th date.
But the last page, you would agree, it does say Saturday, December 18th, correct?
It does, yes.
Okay. And these are pictures where? In the Google Photos of this phone, or where were these pictures found?
These were located in the Google Photos application. Photos can be added to that application in many ways. A lot of times there's a regular gallery that's on a phone, and when you take pictures or you download pictures from the internet and save them to your gallery, they're later backed up and synced to the Google Photos application. So likely these photos at some point were on the gallery of the phone, or they could be added by logging into this account on a computer and then adding them that way, but they still would be synced with this phone.
Is it possible that these pictures could have been downloaded and put into the Google Photos app on all different dates?
Usually the Google Photos application is going to take the same date that that photo was captured. So that photo was likely captured Saturday, February 12th, 2022. It's just going to grab that date from the gallery and bring it right in with Google Photos.
But you don't know 100% when these photos were downloaded. Is that fair?
We would have to click on that photo and click information, and then it would give the exact date and time that photo was taken, or we could look in the original phone extraction under the regular images tab, which would be associated with the phone's gallery.
But as you sit here today, these photos in Exhibit 102, you don't know what date these photos were downloaded and put into the Google app application, correct? Is that fair?
I would say the pictures were taken on Saturday, February 12th, 2022, or saved at that date or time.
How do you know that?
Because that's how Google Photos associates dates and times with pictures and images.
Can you say that 100%?
Very certain, yes. In my experience when looking at this application, it's been very consistent.
Do you have any trouble with the fact that this Exhibit 102 has February 12th and December 18th, two different dates?
No, so that likely was the order that the other pictures were placed onto the phone. So that there could have been a time lapse of when the phone wasn't being used or when photos weren't being taken or added to the Google device. The phone usually has to be connected to Wi-Fi at some point for this backup and sync to occur. So maybe the phone wasn't connecting to the internet at any point or the Wi-Fi for that to happen. I can't say for sure without looking at the phone.
And in your occupation as a forensic analyst, you see all kinds of searches. People search for bizarre things for shock value. Is that fair?
I'm going to object. I think this is beyond the scope of what we're trying to accomplish here this morning prior to the jury being present.
I'll withdraw it.
Right.
Nothing further.
Okay. Any other questions from the state?
Not for the witness. No.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anything else you wanted?
Just to clarify, I think what I would ask to do, Your Honor, is recall Ms. Luberda when we come forward. I have very brief questions for her regarding these issues. I don't intend to go into depth regarding these photos. I think we simply want to put in the fact that the searches were made and the photos exist. I would ask to briefly recall Analyst Danelski after Ms. Luberda, just to clarify the technical aspects of it, if Attorney Freilich has those specific questions, because she's going to be in a better position to answer those questions.
Okay. Any objection to that, Mr. Cole?
Your Honor, I'm going to object because these witnesses have already been called, and now they're going to be called again.
Well,
I guess if he doesn't cross on those points, I'm not concerned, but if he starts crossing on points that raise the technical issues, then I want to be able to recall her to answer those questions.
well,
for the
we'll see
jury.
where the testimony leads, and then I will address that issue. Just to run through again, I've had the opportunity now to look at the exhibits that are being offered, and that's specifically 99 and 101. 100 has been withdrawn. I think yesterday I addressed some of the issues. I've had a chance overnight to frankly review the elements of the offense that the state has to prove, just in thinking through this issue. And one of those elements, of course, regarding homicide is an intent element. That's element number 2 on the homicide. And then if you look at the jury instruction, it explains to the jury what they can look at. It certainly indicates that the jury cannot look into a person's mind to find intent. Intent to kill must be found, if found at all, from the defendant's acts, words, and statements, if any, and from all the facts and circumstances in this case bearing upon intent. The second count, the mutilating a corpse, that has an intent element with it. But in reviewing what's being offered, particularly Exhibit 99 and then 100, I've indicated that items 1 through 9, I don't believe are, I'm not going to allow those to be referenced. If this were to go to the jury, I would want those redacted, because I don't think those types of references are such that their probative value outweighs the prejudicial effect. On the other hand, the items 10 through 35 relate to Jeffrey Dahmer, and the circumstances of the events of Jeffrey Dahmer's homicides are frankly conventional wisdom, not just in Wisconsin, although particularly here, but other places. And people are familiar with the nature of what occurred in that case. The events, now having listened to some of the events, particularly from the coroner, about the events of this case, there's similarities. And while the court has to be cognizant of issues relating to prior bad acts, that's not what this relates to. This relates to someone's demonstrating an interest in these, and there's numerous searches. So I'm looking at 10 through 35, and all of those relate to Jeffrey Dahmer, and I think that's relevant. Relevance, essentially, relevant evidence means evidence having a tendency to make the existence of any fact that is of consequence to the determination of the action more probable or less probable than it would be without the evidence. And I think this really goes to that intent element. The state referenced that. I also referenced yesterday the concept of motive, and while the state doesn't have to prove that, that kind of evidence often comes in. I'm satisfied for those reasons that this report is relevant.
Pretty solid explanation by the judge, huh? That's why I'm not interrupting you.
101, I'm also satisfied that my findings yesterday, as well as the additional findings I've made today, remain the same. I'm going to allow that to be admitted. We've now voir dired these two witnesses, and I think the status of the case is such that we would bring the jury out and have Lieutenant Luberda come back to the witness stand, because that's where she was when they left. Anything before we bring the jury in? Mr. Saunders?
No.
Mr. Freilich?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Then we'll bring the jury in.
All right, so it's go time. So the judge is supposed to weigh whether the unfair prejudice of this evidence outweighs its probative value. And for some of that, he said, yeah, this is more inflammatory than useful. For the Dahmer stuff, largely, he did not. He said, no, I'm going to let it in. Can relate to intent and motive and stuff. You can see it both ways. But the state did say yesterday that she made comments that synced up with this in her statements later that will be shown later on. So perhaps this will all tie together.
Be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I hope you had a pleasant evening. We are ready for day 3 of the trial. I think the last witness that was on the stand, Ms. Luberda, if you could step forward, please. We'll get underway where we left off. And we're going to put you under oath again here in front of the jury.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now before the court, so help you God. Please have a seat and state your name for the record.
Jenna Luberda, L-U-B-E-R-D, and David, A's and Adam.
Okay, Mr. Lizay.
Ms. Luberda, I believe yesterday we discontinued when you were discussing your analysis of Ms. Schabusiness's phone and then a subsequent Google warrant obtaining the data from the phone. Can you explain the 2 different searches that you did on the phone and then on the Google warrant?
Sure. The first search I did of the phone, the cell phone device itself, was done on March 2nd. And that was just the contents of the phone. And then in discussing it with computer forensic analyst Danelski, she suggested that an additional warrant could be done for further information regarding the email addresses, the Gmail addresses that were connected to the phone. And that would have been a whole separate warrant and a separate search.
And when you were reviewing the phone itself, the extraction of the phone itself on March 2nd of 2022, did you note any searches related to Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes.
Was there one? Was there more than one? How many?
24 total searches, such things like Jeffrey Dahmer, Jeff Boyardee, Jeffrey Dahmer's butt, Jeffrey Dahmer walking into court all sexy.
And did you subsequently look for that same type of information when you reviewed the warrant return from Google?
Yes.
And did you find essentially corroborating or similar information when you reviewed the Google search warrant data?
Yes, they were similar.
And Your Honor, is Exhibit 99 available?
This is the one I think she can't reference.
Ms. Luberda, what is Exhibit 99?
This is a Celebrate extraction report from the Google warrant return.
And what is contained in that exhibit?
Searched items.
And I would draw your attention specifically to items 10 through 35 on that. Are they numbered, is that correct?
Yes.
And items 10 through 35, generally what is contained within those numbered items?
The searches that I had referenced earlier, Jeffrey Dahmer, Jeff Boyardee, Jeffrey Dahmer's butt, Jeffrey Dahmer walking into court, Jeffrey Dahmer walking in all sexy in court.
And is that an extraction report consistent with reports you've generated in the past or that you've seen generated in the past using this Cellbrite software?
Yes.
Your Honor, then I would move for the admission of Exhibit 99.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, there were objections, but those were noted, and I'm
Yes.
going to receive 99.
So it's received
Yes,
but
there
not
were
published.
objections, but the court already ruled on that.
Then, Ms. Luberda, did you also, on March 2nd of 2022, when you were looking at the device extraction, did you do a search of photos on the defendant's phone?
I did a search of the device screenshots.
And what are the device screenshots?
So the device screenshots are screenshots taken by analyst Danelski of the photos contained in the Google Drive of the device.
And are those photos that she manually took herself based on the photos that were on the Google Drive of the phone?
Yes.
And did you review those screenshots?
Yes, I did.
And did you likewise see any photographs of Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes.
Was there one, more than one?
Yes, there was more than one, approximately 10, 12,
Okay.
maybe more.
And did those have a date associated with them?
Yes, they did.
What were those dates or date?
The date that I remember is February 12th, 2022.
And are those consistent with the dates of the searches that are referenced earlier in the Exhibit 99?
Yes.
Is Exhibit 102 available for the witness? Ms. Luberda, what is Exhibit 102?
This is a Celebrate extraction report of the screenshots taken by forensic analyst Danelski.
So this is a report from the device itself, is that correct?
Correct.
And does 102 depict the photographs of Dahmer that we had just discussed?
Yes.
Does it also contain photographs of Ms. Schabusiness?
Yes.
What is she doing in the photographs that are depicted in that report?
She's got a cell phone next to her head. There's a picture of Jeffrey Dahmer on the screen of the cell phone, and she's taking a selfie with it and smiling like they're taking a selfie together.
And what is the date of that photograph?
That was February 12th, 2022.
And is Exhibit 101 available for the witness?
That's the picture I saw yesterday on the prosecution table.
Ms. Luberda, what is depicted in Exhibit 101?
The photograph I just described.
Your Honor, I would move for admission of 101 and 102, and I would ask for permission to publish 101.
Same objections as before, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm going to receive 101 and 102, and you can publish to the jury.
So they'll probably show this, but this was a picture of her holding a phone next to herself with a picture of Jeffrey Dahmer on the phone and her grinning next to it. I don't know if she took that picture with another phone or how she did that.
Your Honor, I think one of the jurors has his hand raised. Then, Ms. Luberda, is the screen now depicting Exhibit 101?
Yes.
And that's the photograph from Ms. Schabusiness's Google Photos from February 12th of 2022.
Correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions of the witness.
Okay, cross-examination, Mr. Freilich.
Ms. Luberda, you had talked to Taylor Schabusiness, correct? Did you talk to her?
No.
You found out that Detective Graf had spoken to her, correct?
Correct.
And did you find that, did you find out that Ms. Schabusiness said that she was only able to
I'm
utilize
going to
her?
object, Your Honor. He's asking for hearsay information. He's not allowed to admit statements of the defendant through a witness. Only the state can elicit those things. And this witness also did not speak with Ms. Schabusiness herself.
I withdraw that, Your Honor.
Okay, questions withdrawn.
Did you find that a large portion of the data from this cell phone from Ms. Schabusiness was stored on the cloud?
No.
Did you put that in your report?
I don't recall.
This picture, when you were working as a police officer, you would see various images and photos on all kinds of people's phones, correct?
Correct.
People search and look at odd, bizarre things, correct?
Correct.
And based on your training and experience, people look at things for shock value sometimes. Is that fair?
I don't know if I can answer that question. Maybe.
This photograph in Exhibit 102 is basically a close-up picture of Ms. Schabusiness with a phone right by her, correct?
Correct.
You don't see any knives, you don't see any weapons, you don't see anything, correct?
Well, you see a picture of Jeffrey Dahmer on the phone.
But besides that, you don't see anything else, correct?
Correct.
And can you say that this photo was actually taken on Saturday, February 12th of 2022?
Yes.
These, did you see those other photographs of Jeffrey Dahmer and the other exhibits?
Yes.
Do you know when those photos were either downloaded or sent to the cloud?
I do not.
Okay, I have nothing further.
Redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. You can step down. State's next witness.
Judge, the next witness would be a statutory crime victim, just for the media.
Okay. I just indicate to the media, and they're acknowledging that the victim will not be shown on live stream.
The state
And
calls
and I just want to clarify, the other media it needs to be notified too. It's not just live streaming, any other method of showing them anywhere is prohibited. Go ahead.
Thank you. The state calls Michael Therian.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now before the court, so help you God. Please have a seat and state your name for the record.
Michael B. Therian,
Okay, the witness is yours, Mr. Saunders.
Mr. Therian, how old are you?
60.
And do you live in the Green Bay area?
Yes, I do.
Did you have a son named Chad?
Yes,
And is he now passed?
yes.
How old was Chad when he passed?
24, 25.
Okay. Mike, I want to ask you about Monday, February 21st of 2022. Do you remember the day I'm talking about?
Yes,
On that date, was Shad at your residence?
yes, he was.
Was that a residence that is in Green Bay?
Yes,
And at some point, did Shad get picked up by his mother?
I believe somebody came and picked him up.
Okay. And then I guess he left your home?
Yes,
Later in the evening, did Shad return?
yes.
Was anyone with him?
Taylor,
And do you know who Taylor is?
yes.
How do you know Taylor?
She's been at my place on half a dozen occasions.
And I guess what was Taylor's relationship with Shad, to your knowledge?
They were friends from middle school and high school.
So there have been previous, I'm sorry.
That was my understanding. They were friends from.
And you mentioned there were previous times she was at your home,
Yes,
and you've had the occasion to speak with her?
yes.
About what time of night did Shad and Taylor get to your home?
9 o'clock, 9 p.m. or so.
Was anyone else with them?
Yes.
Do you know who that was?
AJ?
So the three of them arrived. Did you see how they arrived to your home?
No, I didn't.
How long were they there?
Short time, and then they left.
Short time. Are you able to approximate how long?
15 minutes, and then they left, and Shad and just Taylor came back.
All right. So they came back for a little bit of time,
Yes,
and then did they leave again at some point?
yes. And they said they were going over to Terrace.
So when was that second time that Taylor and Shad came back?
It wasn't long after they left. I'm going to say within 45 minutes.
During that second time that Taylor came to your home on February 21st, did you also have the chance to interact with her during that time period?
Small talk.
What was the nature of that small talk?
They were just they were looking for something. They were on some mission. I don't know. I was preoccupied with other things, and I don't even really remember what the small talk. Just asking.
Okay. Did you have the chance to kind of see Taylor's demeanor and how she was acting?
Yes.
Could you describe what you observed?
Nothing out of the ordinary, just the way she was, you know, wasn't real speakative, didn't talk a lot, but she was polite and respectful and always kind, you know.
Was that sort of consistent with the prior occasions that you had contact with her?
Yes.
And then after they left, I guess that second time, did you see Shad again after that point?
No, I did not.
Thank you, Mike. I have nothing further.
Cross-examination, Mr. Freilich?
Mr. Therian, you live in Green Bay, correct?
Yes.
And your son, Shad Therian, was living with you in February of 2022?
Yes.
He stayed primarily with you, but sometimes he would go over to his mother's house on Stony Brook Lane, is that fair?
That's correct.
Your son knew Taylor Schabusiness, they were friends, correct?
Yes.
They went to middle school together?
Yes.
They went to high school together at Bayport?
Yes.
On this particular date, Monday, February 21st of 2022, your son was at home
Yes.
initially, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And at some point, someone came to pick him up, correct?
Yes.
Do you know what time that was, sir? Like morning, afternoon?
I don't, I thought he left with, Taylor and, AJ.
Okay. And so they all three of them they left together?
Yes.
And then, how long were they gone before they came back to your house?
Wasn't long, half hour, 45 minutes, something like that.
Okay,
I don't know, it wasn't long at all. I don't really recall, it's been a while.
okay, that's fair.
They did come back, just Taylor and Shad.
Okay. When they came back, did they get something to eat? Did they watch TV? Do you remember?
No, they said they were going back, they said they were going by Tara's house.
Okay. And do you know what time they left your house to go over there?
I want to say 10:30, maybe not even that, I'm not sure.
Are you talking AM or PM?
PM.
And then at some point, is it your testimony that they came back again?
Yeah, that's when they left again, you know, they left at, like, they were there at 9, and then they left for a little while, and then they came back, and then they left over to Tara's, and it was just her and Shad and Taylor.
Okay. When you saw Taylor Schabusiness on either occasion, did you talk with her about anything?
Just small talk.
Did she appear to be acting odd or bizarre?
No,
How about Shad?
no.
You said they were on a mission. Do you know, what do you mean by that?
I don't know, they just seemed like they were talking about, you know, going somewhere or doing something, and I'm not really sure what was going on. I was preoccupied, and you know, and then they left shortly, you know.
Okay, nothing further. Thank you.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You can step down. State's next witness.
State calls Detective Kevin Kemp.
Maybe this will be when the statements by Taylor come in. Waiting for that. Don't blame them for holding on to that toward the latter part of their case as they build up what the crime was, some connections of her to it, and now her connecting herself to it might be what's coming next, unless this is just more forensic stuff. What they found at the crime scene and got tested and such.
Step up right over here,
We'll see.
detective, and turn and face her. She'll place you under oath.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now before the court, so help you God.
I do.
Please have a seat and state your name for the record.
Kevin Kemp, Kevin, Kempf, as in Frank.
Okay, Mr. Saunders, the witness is yours.
Can you tell us how you're employed?
I'm employed by the City of Green Bay as a member of the Green Bay Police Department.
And do you have a current assignment with the Green Bay Police Department?
I'm currently assigned detectives
How long have you been employed in law enforcement?
Just over 27 years.
And how long have you been assigned specifically to the detective division?
Currently since 2017.
Detective, I want to ask you about February 23rd of 2022. Did you become involved in a investigation of the death of Therian?
Yes.
And I guess generally, what was your involvement in the case?
My involvement in the case was to assist Detective Graf in an interview.
And who did you interview?
We would have interviewed Taylor Schabusiness.
And for
Okay.
the record, do you see the person you know to be Taylor Schabusiness in court today?
Yes, I do.
Could you point out where that person's sitting and what they're wearing?
She would be sitting to your left. She's wearing a black suit coat with a multicolored shirt.
I'd ask the record reflect the witness identify the defendant.
It will so reflect.
Prior to the interview of Ms. Schabusiness, did you have the occasion to view her physical appearance?
Yes, I did.
Did you note any potential cuts or injuries to her?
Yes, I noted a cut to her left thumb and some superficial cuts to her hands.
And is that something that you subsequently documented in some way?
Yes, when I took photos of her, I also made sure I documented the cuts on her hands.
So if you've read any of what was said during the quote-unquote interviews, you'll know just how incriminating this will be if this is the guy who's going to bring this evidence in. And of course, kitchen knives, they don't really have anything to keep your hand from slipping down if you're stabbing or slicing hard and things like that in ways they're not designed. So she could cut her hands in the process of committing this crime.
Yes.
And what do you believe those to be?
These would be photographs that I took of Ms. Schabusiness's hands.
And those appear to depict Ms. Schabusiness's hands as you observed them in the interview room on February 23rd?
Yes.
And when, on February 23rd, would this contact have occurred? When did you begin the interview?
I believe I took the photos at approximately 6 a.m., and I think the interview started at about 6:30 a.m.
All right, so this was before the interview?
Yes.
All right. I'd move 103 through 107.
Any objection?
No.
103
Six.
through 107 will be removed.
Sorry, Judge, 106.
106.
And then I'd ask permission to publish as well.
Any objection, Mr. Freilich?
No.
You can publish 103 to 106.
Okay, and then it'll be in front of you, but also behind you, whatever's easiest here. So are we observing photograph 103 at this point?
Yes, you are.
Okay, and what does this depict?
This would be her left hand. There's a superficial cut in the palm below the thumb, and then you can see the cut on the thumb partially from a side view.
Pretty nasty.
And then exhibit 104, is that what we're looking at now?
Yes, it would be. That would be her right hand and a superficial cut in the palm of her hand.
And then 105,
That's a nasty one there.
This would be the cut on her thumb, her left hand thumb.
and then 106.
106 is kind of a superficial cut on the index finger of the left hand.
Okay. And then at some point during the interview, was Ms. Schabusiness transported for medical care with respect to the thumb?
Yes, when she requested medical care, she was transported to the hospital. Before that, she declined.
Okay, and did you accompany her during that visit?
Yes, I did.
And I guess, was there an attempt to have maybe the injury stitched up in some way?
Yes, we brought her up to get stitches or get medical treatment, whatever they felt was necessary.
And was that done ultimately?
She did receive medical treatment, but they did not give stitches due to the time.
What do you mean by that?
Apparently it is, if it's outside the 8 or 12 hour frame, the stitches can't be put in, it doesn't work.
Okay. And you had contact with Schabusiness about 6 a.m., you said?
Yes, so that's about when I started taking the photos.
When you, I guess, first encountered Schabusiness and were taking those photographs, what kind of clothing was she wearing?
At that point, she had like a black spaghetti strap top, I believe, on, and some black leggings, more tighter spandex, I guess.
And were her clothing items subsequently collected by law enforcement?
Yes, they did an initial collection of the outside clothing, and then I also had those items of clothing collected from her.
Okay. And I guess was a female officer involved in collecting the inner clothing items?
Yeah, when the clothing is collected, she's actually removed from the interview room to a room where it's not recorded, and a member of the same sex would be with them when the items are collected.
And was that done in this case?
Yes,
And then the clothing items that were, I guess, collected from Schabusiness, were those subsequently entered into evidence?
yes, they would have been entered into evidence.
And that include the sweatpants or leggings or pants material that you talked about?
Yes.
Let's get to that interview.
After those photographs of Schabusiness, did you participate in the interview of Schabusiness?
Yes, I did.
And which other officer was with you?
Detective Graf.
During the course of the interview, did both of you sort of interject at some points and ask questions?
Yes,
Have you had the chance to review that February 23rd interview of Schabusiness?
yes, I have.
Okay. And that appeared to be fairly and accurately and consistent with your interview, as you recall it, of the defendant?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Morning, Detective Kemp.
Morning.
So on February 23rd of 2022, you were contacted by the lieutenant at about 4:13 a.m. to come and assist? Is that true?
Yes, that'd be approximate time.
Were you told to go over to 829 Stony Brook Lane?
No, I was requested to come to the station, that we were all going to meet at the station at that point.
And from the station, then you went to the house?
No, when I initially arrived at the station, I was asked to assist in interviews.
Okay. Did you go to the home at all on that particular day?
It would have been later that day that I would have went to the home.
You went to the home after the interview was taken?
Yes.
Tell me, when you got to the station, kind of like what occurred? What were the events that happened until you got into the interview room?
Basically, as I'm coming in, I called one of the supervisors to try to get a quick briefing, try to get some more additional information. When we arrive at the station, they give us a briefing of what is known at that time, and then job assignments are given out by our supervisors, and they ask us to do what needs to get done, and they start formulating a plan on how to go about the scene.
And what was your job assignment?
My job assignment was to assist in interviews.
Was it to assist Detective Graf?
With Taylor Schabusiness, yes.
Okay. So when you got to the Green Bay Police Department or the station, was she there already?
She came in, I believe, about 5:30. She was brought into the interview room.
AM?
Yes.
Okay. And was there some things that had to be done before you started talking to her? Like taking pictures and things like that?
I believe patrol did snap some initial photographs, and like I indicated, I believe they took initially her outer clothing items.
Okay.
It was a nasty cut on
And
the
then she
thumb.
was put into like a suit?
That would have been after I took my photos. I took additional photos.
Alternative clothing.
And then she was, when we collected the inner clothing, because we were taking all of her clothing, she was placed into some type of clothing that we had, which was basically a Tyvek suit at that time.
Okay. It was early in the morning. Did Taylor Schabusiness appear to be tired?
She appeared to be no more tired than I was. I mean, she was able to talk, able to speak to me, understand.
How about her eyes? Did they appear to be odd, like where she was having difficulty seeing?
I wouldn't say that she had a hard time seeing. It didn't seem like that.
Did she have any slurred speech?
Not that I noticed.
When she was talking, was she making sense?
Yes, she was able to hold a conversation and answer questions, and it seemed to be coherent about what was being said and asked.
Was she calm?
Was she calm?
Yes.
Yes.
So then at some point, Detective Graf took some swabs, correct?
Yes, we would have swabbed her hands shortly after the photos were taken because there was some discoloration on her hands that appeared as it could be blood, so we decided to swab the hands.
And Mr. Saunders asked you about those exhibits 103 through 106. Ms. Schabusiness did have cuts on her hands, palms, and thumbs, correct?
Yes.
And the substance that was on her hands, you don't know where that came from, if it came from the cuts or something else, correct?
I do not know, no.
And then, so then you and Detective Graf proceeded with your interview of Ms. Schabusiness, is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Then at some point, you took a break, correct?
There were several breaks taken during the interview.
But then there was a break where you, where you had her go to St. Vincent's Hospital in Green Bay for some medical treatment of these cuts, correct?
Yes, I believe that was around 9:30 a.m. approximately. It was about 3 hours after the interview started, give or take a little bit.
So 3 hours later, approximately?
Yes, is when she asked for medical attention.
Did you accompany her to the hospital, or how did that work?
Yes, we had a MARC squad transport her up there. I rode up with her in the MARC squad, was in the room, or just outside the room at points, because I had to step out when they were changing her. And then when she was transported back, she was placed back in that MARC squad, and I rode back in that MARC squad with her.
Was Detective Graf with you when you went over to the St. Vincent's Hospital?
No,
You took her by yourself?
no, it would have been myself and another officer.
Okay. What time did you arrive back at the Green Bay Police Department?
I believe it was about an hour or 70 minutes later, off the top of my head.
Okay. Maybe around 10:30 or so?
10:30, 10:40.
And then you proceeded with further interview?
There was additional interview done.
Not sure what they're doing other than maybe trying to create a record to challenge whether her statements were voluntary or whatever. We'll see.
Okay, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Redirect?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Detective. You can step down. State's next witness.
State calls Detective Graf.
Now maybe we'll get the interview.
Step forward. Clerk will swear you.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth,
I don't know if her
and the matter now before the
interview
court, so help
video
you
is
God.
public yet. I haven't seen it, but I've read a lot of what she said in it.
David Graf, G-R-A-F.
Okay, then the witness is yours, Mr. Lezay.
Detective Graf, how are you employed?
I'm a detective with the Green Bay Police Department.
And how long have you worked with the Green Bay Police Department?
I have been with Green Bay for 27 years.
Do you have law enforcement experience prior to the Green Bay Police Department?
I do. I have 30 years of total law enforcement experience.
And what is your current role with the Green Bay Police Department?
I'm an investigative detective in the investigative division.
And how long have you been a detective with the Green Bay Police Department?
17 years.
And what were some of your other job duties with the Green Bay Police Department prior to working with the Detective Division?
I was a patrol officer for approximately 14 years. As part of my 17 years in the investigative division, I was also a narcotics investigator with the Brown County Task Force for 2 years. And since then, coming back in 2010, I've been a detective.
Were you working as a detective with the Green Bay Police Department on February 23rd of 2022?
Yes,
Were you called in to investigate a suspected homicide of Therian?
correct.
And what was your role in that investigation at the outset?
My initial roles was I arrived at the police department and received a briefing of what was going on, and I was informed that some family members of Mr. Therian were at the police department, and I was asked to interview Tara Pakinich.
And did you conduct that interview?
I did.
What was the purpose of having that interview?
Get some basic information as to observations that she had made when she had last had contact with her son, who was on the residence, and basic information.
And once you completed your discussion with Tara, then what did you do?
I was then informed that
Judge is
Taylor
posting a super
Schabusiness
chat
was
somewhere.
now present at the police department. I was asked to interview her.
And that interview, was that on the morning of February 23rd of 2022?
Correct.
Is that an interview that was conducted in a recorded interview room at the Green Bay Police Department?
Yes, it was.
Did the recording devices work? Is everything operating well?
They did.
Subsequently, have you had an opportunity to review the recorded interview of Taylor Schabusiness that occurred at the police department on February 23rd of 2022?
I have.
And do you believe that the recording of that interview accurately reflects your conversation with Ms. Schabusiness on that date?
It does.
And who was present during the interview with you?
Detective Kemp?
Was Ms. Schabusiness Mirandized prior to the substantive portions of the interview?
Yes.
Prior to moving into substantive questions with Ms. Schabusiness, did you make any physical observations of her?
Yes, I observed that she was wearing a tank top and some sweatpants that had dark colored, dark red substances on her, on the clothing that I was told by patrol that they thought could be human blood, as well as some minor staining on her hands.
And what did you do prior to interviewing her with respect to the clothing items and the staining on the hands?
I had the clothing items collected by a female officer, Officer Whitman, with the Green Bay Police Department. And I also took what we call buckle standard from Mr. Business using a buckle standard kit. And then I also took swabs of both her left hand and her right hand.
Could you describe the process that you used in collecting the buccal swab?
Yes, we have a kit that we use that contains 2 sterile swabs and some packaging material. So the kit is open, the swabs are used on one swab on one side of the cheek, one swab on the other side of the inside of the cheek, because that's where the buccal cells are located. Then the swabs are both placed into the packaging, labeled and sealed.
And is that something that you have done routinely in the past through your work as a detective at the Green Bay Police Department?
Yes.
Did you follow your training and the department protocols with respect to the collection of that buccal swab?
Yes.
And can you describe for the jury what you did in terms of swabbing Ms. Schabusiness's hands?
Yes, I used, again, sterile swabs and basically 2 swabs. One, I would put some distilled water onto the swab the hand, and then the second swab would be a dry swab, and then I would swab the hand. Place those both into packaging, seal them, and then I would do the same for the second hand.
When you say you swab the hand, what portions of the hand are you swabbing?
I swab the entire portion, the palm, the top of the hand, and such.
And with respect to the buccal swab and the swabs of the hands, what did you do with those after you had completed them and packaged them and signed them?
They were placed into the evidence department at the Green Bay Police Department.
Is that something you yourself did?
Yes,
And did you maintain custody and control of those items until they were placed in evidence?
I did.
We'll return to the specifics of the interview in a moment, but I want to move on. After you interviewed Ms. Schabusiness, well, about how long was the interview with Ms. Schabusiness on that date?
Well, it was over a period of time. There were several breaks. Let's see, maybe over a period of time of 6 hours or so.
And after you conducted your interview with Ms. Schabusiness, what did you do?
At one point, I did go to the scene briefly and just provided some information at the scene. I believe I also talked again with Ms. Pakinich because I had some follow-up questions that came up during that interview with Taylor Schabusiness concerning if Ms. Pakinich had in fact came down into the into the basement during time period that Shad and Taylor would have been down there.
And I should also ask, while you're interviewing Ms. Schabusiness, are you remaining in communication with other investigators that are working on the case?
Yes.
And after the interview with Ms. Schabusiness, did you continue to stay in contact with other investigators about different aspects of the case?
Yes.
Subsequent to the February 23rd interview with Ms. Schabusiness, did you meet with her again for a second interview?
Yes.
And when did that take place?
February 28th, I believe.
And where was that interview?
That was also at the Green Bay Police Department in an interview room there.
Is that an interview that was also recorded?
Yes.
Was Ms. Schabusiness read her Miranda rights prior to that interview as well?
Yes.
And did she agree to speak with you on the 28th?
She did.
And who was present with you for that interview?
Detective Phil Scanlon.
Have you since had the opportunity to review the audio-video recording of the February 28th interview with Ms. Schabusiness?
I have.
Does that recording accurately set forth what you recall from the interview itself?
Yes.
Is the quality of the audio the same in that one as it is in the 23rd?
No, it's not. The quality of the audio in the second interview was a little less than it was a little harder to hear.
Is there a reason for that?
The microphone in that particular room was not as sensitive as at other rooms.
And again, we'll get into the specifics of that interview, but I want to move into subsequent aspects of the investigation prior to doing that. At some point in time after the interview, did you assist in this investigation in other ways?
Yes.
What was the next thing that you recall doing after meeting with Ms. Schabusiness on the 28th?
Several things that I did was, one of the things that I did was I reviewed the evidence that was taken throughout the course of the investigation and chose several items that I wanted to send to the Wisconsin State Crime Lab for further analysis.
Is that generally how the process works with your department and the State Crime Lab? Is it the detectives select the items that will be sent to the State Crime Lab?
Yes.
And when you're deciding to send items to the State Crime Lab, are you aware of submission guidelines that the Crime Lab has?
I am.
What generally are the submission guidelines with respect to serious crimes such as this?
In these types of crimes, they ask that the first submission of evidence be limited to 10 items.
And did you send 10 items to the lab in this instance?
I did.
And when you were trying to select which items to send to the lab, what considerations did you have?
I took several considerations. There was quite a bit of evidence taken in this case. However, I was aware that there was at least two different scenes where evidence was collected, one being on Stony Brook Lane, the other being at Eastman Avenue, in which I had been information that Taylor and Shad had been at both residences. Also, I was aware that several knives had been found in the basement on Stony Brook Lane that were covered in what appeared to be human matter. And my concern was that was Shad's blood and tissue, so I wanted to confirm that. So I took the one knife that I chose was the bread knife, so to speak, that she had used mainly to dismember the body, according to Ms. Schabusiness, and that had been found in, I believe, the Jimmy Choo bag in the basement. So I chose that knife as particular for testing. There were several other knives located in the same areas, but I just decided to take the one knife. I also decided to send swabs that I'd taken from her hands to see if that was, in fact, DNA from shed on her hands and on hers blood. I also chose the swabbing from what was a res substance in the apartment and the bedroom of Taylor Schabusiness' apartment. A, to determine what that substance was, if it was blood, and also determine if it in fact did belong to Taylor or Shad, so he could be linked again to that particular residence.
And then, do you recall the other items that you sent to the lab in this case?
The other items that I had sent also was the swab, the oral swab that was taken from Shad from the autopsy, and I had the penile swab that was taken during autopsy from Shad, and I also asked one of my forensic evidence techs to swab the dildo, and so I had the dildo swab, and I sent that also to determine again if any of their individuals whose DNA was on any of those items.
And how about any of the clothing items that were taken from Ms. Schabusiness? Did you send those to the lab?
Yes, I believe the sweatpants were specifically sent in.
And did you also send the known control buckle sample from Taylor to the lab?
Yes.
In addition to making the decisions regarding what evidence would be sent to the lab, did you participate in any search warrants in this case?
I did. 4 separate cell phones had been located during the course of the investigation, 2, I believe, at the Stony Brook in the basement, and 2 in the bedroom on Eastman Avenue. So I wrote a search warrant requesting that all 4 cell phones' data be extracted.
And did you have opportunity to review the extraction from any of the cell phone devices that were seized and searched with a search warrant?
I did.
Specifically, there's been some discussion already about Ms. Schabusiness' primary phone. Did you have an opportunity to review the Cellbrite extraction from Ms. Schabusiness' device?
Yes.
And is that something that you have done regularly in the course of your duties as an investigator with the Green Bay Police Department?
I have.
You're familiar with the Cellbrite program, how it works, and how to navigate it?
Yes.
In particular, when you were searching Ms. Schabusiness' device, what types of information were you interested in?
What was the type of data that was being accessed or used, or photos that were taken during the time period up until the date of the homicide? And you could do what they call a timeline report, and basically we'll put in chronological order every single time the phone is accessed or a photo is taken or there's a phone call, there's a text message. So I looked at that timeline into the days preceding the homicide. And it also records anytime a phone will connect to a Wi-Fi network. It can specifically say what Wi-Fi network that phone had accessed. And I found that to be interesting in this case.
And what was important about that Wi-Fi access? We'll touch on that first. What's your purpose in knowing where the Wi-Fi connectivity exists here?
It helps put a location as to where exactly that phone was during a specific period of time.
And when you say Wi-Fi connectivity, can you explain a little bit for the jury about how that process works, where the device connects to the Wi-Fi?
Well, everybody has Wi-Fi. I should say mostly everybody has Wi-Fi at home, and everybody has a router, and that router has a specific title to it. You know, it could be a self-made name, or it could be a name that is provided by the manufacturer. And so then, you know, when you look at your phone and you want to connect to somebody's Wi-Fi, you ask them, what's your Wi-Fi name? And they'll say it's, Graf family, whatever. And then you were able to connect to that. And so In looking at that, I was able to determine that over the course of several days, there was 2 specific Wi-Fi routers that phone had been accessing.
During the course of the investigation, were you able to obtain the name of the Wi-Fi router for the Eastman Avenue address where Ms. Schabusiness resided with Mr. Tomes?
Yes, I had personal contact with the owner of the occupants, Mr. Tomes, and he had forwarded me that he had used AT&T as his service provider and provided me with the Wi-Fi name.
And similarly, were you able to get the Wi-Fi name for the Stony Brook residence as well?
Yes, I talked to Ms. Pakinich, and again, I was informed that the Spectrum was their internet service provider and provided me with their name also.
And then were you able to look at the extraction from Ms. Schabusiness's device and create a timeline for when that particular device was utilizing the respective Wi-Fi networks that you discussed?
That is correct.
Still want to see this interview. I know they're being methodical, and I'm being impatient. Some more paper exhibits. I guess they're trying to show her phone was here, and then it was at the murder location for a while, and then it was gone again. That's probably what this is.
This is an extraction report that I completed from the data found in Taylor Schabusiness's cell phone.
And what specifically is addressed in that particular extraction report?
In this particular one, it is a timeline in terms of network usages, in terms of what Wi-Fi the phone was accessing, and it provides dates and times.
And using that report, are you able to then determine at what times the device is utilizing which of the routers?
Yes.
And what is the significance, or what did you glean from that report then with respect to the dates and times?
Well, I know that on February 22nd, 2022, starting at 12 a.m., it was utilizing the Wi-Fi from the Eastman Avenue address. And there's several entries over the course of time from midnight all the way up until (4 a.m.), and it utilized the router of ATT5 FTC 9D, which I had confirmed was the same name of the router from Mr. Thalm's apartment on Eastman Avenue.
At some point in time in the early morning hours of February 22nd of 22, does the phone connect then to a different Wi-Fi router?
Yes, starting at approximately 6 a.m. on February 22nd, 2022, all the way through (10 a.m.) or so. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yes, well, 10 a.m. approximately. It was the My Spectrum Wi-Fi, which then again I had confirmed that was the Wi-Fi router at the Stony Brook Lane address.
Now, did those, in order to have the phone connect to the particular Wi-Fi device, does that mean that the user necessarily has to be utilizing the device to do something specific?
I don't believe so, no.
There are certain programs that simply run in the background that are searching for, trying to connect to the Wi-Fi?
Yes.
And that doesn't necessarily give you a specific time frame, but does give you general time frames for where Ms. Schabusiness might have been at, Ms. Schabusiness's device might have been at certain points in time.
Yeah, that would say that is accurate. It's not specific, but it does give you general timelines, yes.
I think you mentioned earlier you were also looking for photographs in the timeline right around the time of the homicide. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Were you able to note any photographs that were relevant to your investigation in this timeline?
Yeah, I noticed that on February 22nd, 2022, approximately 12:56, 12:57 a.m., several photos had been taken of Shad Therian.
And those photos were present on Ms. Schabusiness's device, is that correct?
That is correct.
And they have very specific date and time stamps?
Yes.
So this is interesting. Did you see her taking some pictures of this guy right before she does what she does? She wanted to make sure she got all the evil in one place, one act. Very comprehensive. I'm not sure what more she could have done that's bad.
Dr. Graf, I'm showing you what's been marked as exhibit 108, 109. Can you identify 108 for me?
Your Honor, I'll object to 108 and 109. They're similar, but some of the photos on one of the exhibits are more like thumbnail, and then the other one is the larger one. But we already have pictures of the alleged victims, so I would argue duplicity.
Galen, why don't you see the photos?
If she's taking pictures of him just before she kills him, that's not duplication. That's something else. That shows potentially a state of mind.
So your argument is duplicity?
Yes.
It also connects her to
Okay,
him.
I've taken a look at 108 and 109. They're different. Certainly there's thumbnails on 108.
It depends on the timing.
Which are smaller. Those photos, actually each one of them are different slightly. And there's some other data on 108. So I'm satisfied that I'm going to overrule the objection, and you can proceed.
And what is exhibit 108 again, Detective?
108 is another extraction report documenting 5 photos that I had found in Taylor Schabusiness's cell phone.
And what's depicted in those photographs?
All photographs are of the head of Shad Therian.
And so
Okay,
you had-
that's
these are
terrible.
in-life photos of him, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
These are photos of him while he is still alive, correct?
That is correct.
Oh, thank you for clarifying that.
And
Okay.
109 depicts what?
109 is a full photo of one of those particular photographs described.
And again, what is the date and time of the photographs in exhibit 108?
February 22nd, 2022, one at 12:56 a.m., another at 12:56 and 57 seconds a.m., another at 12:57 a.m., another at 12:57 and 12 seconds a.m., and the fifth at 12:57 and 18 seconds a.m.
Have you, as part of your investigation in this case, had an opportunity to review photographs of the 2 residences, the Eastman residence and the residence on Stony Brook?
Yes.
Based on your review of those photographs and then the review of Exhibit 109, are you able to ascertain where that photograph was taken?
The photographs just described, the background is the same as the bedroom on Eastman Avenue.
Is that also consistent with the timeline that you noted from the Wi-Fi usage?
Correct.
That the phone would have been utilizing that device around that time.
Yes.
I would ask for permission to publish 109, Your Honor.
Okay, you can publish 109.
Is the screen now depicting Exhibit 109?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Detective, I now want to return to the interview and specific conversations about what Ms. Schabusiness told you on February 23rd of 2022. First of all, can you start by describing, what her general demeanor was when you met with her on the 23rd?
Well, characteristic as a calm demeanor, no outbursts, no mood swings. She was quite frank in being able to answer questions and ask questions.
What was your ability to communicate with her?
Very good. She was able to answer my questions and with no issues.
You indicated that you had previous work as a narcotics investigator. Have you had an opportunity in the past to meet with and interview suspects who are under the influence of drugs?
Yes.
Did you note anything in Ms. Schabusiness's behavior, demeanor, or appearance that would have suggested that she was under the influence of narcotics at the time you were meeting with her on the 23rd?
I did not.
Can you describe, going into that interview, how much information you had about the specific acts themselves?
At the particular time, I had very little information. What I knew was that she has Therian had been found in a bucket in the basement, and also just the information that I had from talking to his mother about who was he last seen with and his last known whereabouts, according to her.
In terms of the specifics of what happened to Shad and where the rest of his body was, is that information that you knew prior to beginning the interview with Ms. Schabusiness?
No.
The information about Shad and what happened to him and where his body was, where did that information come from?
It's your business.
And to begin your interview, how did you begin asking her about the specific events?
I basically stated to her that with the information that I had, and the information that I had at that point in time was that Shad's head had been found in a bucket in the basement, and that she had at one point had been with Shad. So I just asked her if she could tell me what happened.
And was she able to describe to you what happened?
Yes.
What did she say with respect to how Shad was killed?
How Shad was killed?
Correct.
She said that Shad had produced a chain, like a dog collar, and put it around his neck. Initially, it sounded like it might have been some sort of foreplay, but it got to the point that she started to strangle Mr. Therian and just continued to do so, according to her, for several minutes until he passed away.
Did she, as it relates to the strangulation, did she make any statements about her observations of Shad as she was choking him with that chain?
Yes, she stated that his head turned purple. He started to, I believe, blood coming out of his mouth. His tongue was protruded, I believe.
Did you ask her whether she chose to stop at that juncture?
I did.
And what was her response?
She stated that she wanted to continue to see what happened.
And did you ask her whether or not Shad had struggled at all when she was choking him?
She said that he did.
And what was her response to that?
My understanding is that Shad had been laying on the bed, prone, face down, and she was on top of him. And so she was able to choke and control his body, so to speak, that even though he was struggling, she was able to still maintain control.
Did you ask her about how she felt about what she had done?
Yes.
And what were her responses?
Objection, relevance, yes to elements, Your Honor.
I think they're certainly relevant as to her intent.
Overruled.
Her response was that she liked it.
Had she also at some point expressed some remorse or that she didn't necessarily want this to happen?
Initially, that was some of her comments, was that, it had intended, but once she started to strangle Shad, that she found that she could enjoy it, and so she kept on strangling him.
Had she expressed anything to you about her use of drugs at the time of the offense or immediately prior to the time of the offense?
She said that approximately 2 days prior to the offense that she and Shad had been smoking methamphetamine.
2 days prior to the offense or 2 days prior to the interview?
I'm sorry, 2 days prior to the interview.
Did she mention anything to you specifically about drugs or paraphernalia that might be found in the residence?
Yes, she stated that there should be a pipe and some methamphetamine in the basement on a dresser or an entertainment center of some sort.
Did she express any knowledge about the location of the chain or chains that were used to strangle Shad?
Yes, she stated that there was 2 chains. One would be the same location area as where the methamphetamine was used, and another would be in another table in the basement.
And now, I think I asked this earlier, but you're in communication with the investigators who are on scene during the course of this interview, is that correct?
Correct.
And the information that Ms. Schabusiness is providing you about where things are located and what they might see in the basement, is that being confirmed by investigators on scene?
It is.
And the information that she's providing you, is that accurate with what they're observing?
Yes.
After the strangulation itself, what did Ms. Schabusiness tell you that she did with Shad?
Well, initially, we were aware of Shad's head being in a bucket, but we were not aware of where the rest of his body had been located. So there were several questions pertaining to where his body was located, and Ms. Schabusiness' response to that it was still in the basement. Then she later went on to explain that she in fact had dismembered Shad's body and placed the various body parts into several bags or a tote down in the basement.
Was she able to describe in detail the things that she did to dismember Shad?
Yes.
And again, are you matching that back up with information from investigators at the scene?
Correct.
Was she able to actually describe the types of bags or types of containers where she's placing body parts?
Yes.
And again, is that consistent with what investigators are later finding on the scene?
Yes.
Did she talk to you about how she dismembered or what she used to dismember Shad's body?
Yes, she stated that she used knives that she obtained from the kitchen of the residence.
Was she able to describe to you where those knives would be located in the basement?
Yes, she described that the knives would be in the same package or the bags that the body parts were also located.
And again, is that consistent with what investigators were finding on scene?
Yes.
In addition to the dismemberment, did Ms. Schabusiness discuss with you anything else that she did with Shad's body after she had killed him?
Yes, she did.
And what was that?
She described how she had sexual contact with the body in terms of playing with his penis. Also, she described that she had a dildo that she placed into Shad's mouth and to his anus, and that she also had cuddled the body.
Did she discuss performing oral sex on Shad?
That's correct.
Did she indicate about how long she had cuddled or played with Shad's body?
This is bad.
She indicated that, it was, I don't exactly recall how long of a period of time, but there was a period of time, I believe shortly before or after the start of dismemberment.
Did she talk to you at all about trying to clean up the scene or what she was doing with the blood during the course of the dismemberment?
Yes, I had been made aware that there was not a significant portion of blood found in the basement that would have been consistent with dismemberment. So I asked her about that, and her response was that she mainly used like the bucket and or the blue tote to capture a lot of the blood, and eventually to dispose of some of that into the shower in the basement. She also did talk about the dismemberment and the removal of body parts, and in fact that there should still be a portion of Shad's lower limbs, like legs, in the van that she had been operating. So she did describe how she did remove at least a couple of his body parts during the course of dismemberment. And when I say move, I mean out of the residence itself.
And did she specifically give you a reason for why she ultimately left the residence on that day?
She told me that she had heard lots of walking around upstairs, and she also heard that she had thought she had heard some shots being fired in the area. In this call, there's some concern, and
She'd hate to hang out in a
she
dangerous
decided that
neighborhood.
she had needed to leave at that point.
Did she discuss with you what her intention was with respect to Shad's head?
One of the first things that she did say was that she did like the head, and that it was her intent to take the head as well as the genitalia that was in a bucket with her. That's why she specifically placed those items in the bucket. But she did mention that she had left the bucket by the stairs. And I don't know if she intentionally wanted to do that, but there was talk that it was her intent to take the head and the genitalia with her also.
At some point in time, do you discuss with Ms. Schabusiness a specific timeline for the events leading up to that evening?
Yes.
And what does she tell you about the timeline of her whereabouts leading up to this event?
2 days before the 21st, that Monday, is when she was at the apartment on Eastman Avenue with her friend AJ. They decided to go pick up Shad, which they did do. They were turned back to the apartment. At one point, they also did visit Shad's father, Michael Therian, and then also again returned to the apartment at Eastman Avenue, where they stayed there for a while. At one point, AJ left, and then Shad and Taylor then returned to Shad's mother's residence on Stony Brook Lane.
And the information that she's providing you with respect to the timeline, is that information that also was consistent with the other aspects of your investigation?
Correct.
Had she mentioned to you while you're discussing the timeline use of narcotics or controlled substances?
While they were in the apartment on Eastman Avenue, they did use, her and Shad smoked methamphetamine, and she also indicated that Shad and AJ smoked marijuana.
Had she talked to you about what vehicles she was using to travel around to these locations?
Yes, the entire time she was using her roommate, Mr. Dom's gold Chrysler minivan.
Did you ask her whether Mr. Thomas had given her permission to use the vehicle?
I don't know if I asked her specifically that question, no. But it was under impression that she was using it. At the time of the interview, I was not sure. I later found out that Mr. Thomas claimed that she has used it in the past, but not necessarily was supposed to use it that night.
Did she tell you any information about whether Mr. Thomas was involved in this crime at all?
He was just at the apartment the entire time, sitting in a chair basically, and according to her, he wasn't even aware of what they were doing because he was behind him or in the bedroom.
When you were speaking with Ms. Schabusiness, did you ask her about whether or not anyone else had come down into the basement at any point in time?
Yes.
And what did she say?
So then she stated that she believed that Chad's mother had come down with a cat.
And did she discuss actually having any interaction with Chad's mother at that time?
She said that she did not, and I asked Taylor if she thought that the mother had seen her, and she stated that she did not believe. So asked her what she did, and Taylor just stated basically that she kept quiet and was off in the like the finished part of the basement.
So I want to draw your attention then to the second interview with Ms. Schabusiness that occurred on February 28th, is that right?
Correct.
And that was also a recorded interview?
Yes, it was.
And you advised her of her Miranda rights prior to that interview?
I did.
And she waived those rights and agreed to answer questions?
Yes, she did.
Did you make observations of her demeanor generally on that day?
I would classify it as being the same, calm, was able to answer questions appropriately, no outward signs of any disruptions or mood swings.
And was she able to understand your questions and
Right
answer
there.
them appropriately?
She
Yes.
actually calls for speculation, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Leading? Argument for leading?
Pardon?
Argument for leading, alternative argument, Your Honor.
Overruled. Go ahead, ask another question, Mr. Luberda.
Thank you. And what was generally the purpose of conducting that second interview with Ms. Schabusiness?
Conduct some follow-up questions concerning that we had that came up during the course of the investigation concerning like her disposition of the body, what were her intentions of what they're doing with the body, and her cleaning up after herself.
And what did she say with respect to the purpose of dismemberment and then the cleanup?
According to Ms. Business, the purpose was that she realized she needed to remove the body from the residence so that she wouldn't be caught. And Shad was more that she could carry just in terms of being a whole body. So the dismemberment and putting them into bags was to facilitate with her being able to remove the body from the residence.
And did you discuss with her the attempts to clean up the residence as well?
Yes, and Detective Scanlon had been an integral part of the search of the residence itself, so he asked her several questions about cleaning up because he had observed some, markings or on the cement down area that had been underneath the bed, as well as there was a squeegee in the shower down in the basement, in some items such as Clorox, wipes, and so he asked her about that, and she stated that yes, she did use the cleaning materials such as the Clorox wipes and the spray to clean up several of the areas in the basement, as well as using squeegee to clean up the shower area, and subsequently placed these wipes in the same bags that the body parts was found, which again is consistent with what Detective Scanlon had found.
And Detective, I think I asked you these questions already, but have you had an opportunity subsequent to the interviews to review the recorded interview from both the 23rd and the 28th of February?
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Correct.
that.
And you do believe that the recordings were accurate and consistent with your recollection of the interviews?
They are.
Your Honor, at this point, I intend to show significant portions of the first interview and a smaller portion of the second interview, but it's about an hour and 10 minutes in length for the first interview and about 4 minutes for the second. So I think now would be a good time to take a break.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we started a little bit late, but nonetheless, we're going to be watching a video. So I think what we'll do is take a break until 10:20. It's now about 8 minutes after 10. And with that, all rise for the jury. Anything to bring up before we break, Mr. Saunders?
No.
Mr. Fraley?
No.
I'm assuming there's been referenced earlier, a stipulation as to what pieces of this video you're going to show.
It's understanding the specific times were provided. A copy of the excise video was provided to the defense.
Your Honor, that's correct. We talked about this issue, so.
Okay, very good. We'll take a break until 10:20.
Thank you.
So likely this, well, I think for sure, I just didn't read it all, that this was subject to a motion in limine before the trial. This and other things, they tried to get physical evidence excluded and her statements. A lot of ways to try to do that. If you're in a custodial interrogation and you've been read your Miranda rights and you waive them, then your attorney can try to attack the fact whether that waiver was knowing, voluntary, intelligent, and then also whether your statements during the course of that were really voluntary or not. And that might be why he's going to try and say she was exhausted or whatever. Her mental state at the time she waived her rights would have been relevant for that motion, but it doesn't look like if that was a topic of the defense argument that the judge bought any of that for that purpose. And then also this judge has found her competent to stand trial, even though there have been more than one attempts to say that she's not. Now, the insanity defense, of course, is separate, and that is for the jury to decide after she's convicted, and if she's convicted, which, let's face it, she's going to be convicted, and then it will go to phase 2, and the jury will decide whether she's insane for the purposes of finding her not responsible for the crime, and the burden shifts to her at that point, not the state. It's an affirmative defense, and the state has decided that she has to prove it. And interesting. Anybody need a holster? And it has to be 10 out of the 12 jurors, if you have 12 jurors, to make a verdict one way or the other. So that's the story on that. So I don't know that there was anything complicated in the Miranda situation other than, probably an argument that she was too crazy to really waive her rights, and that apparently was not successful. So you get this, where she's confessing. Now, there is a strain of belief out there that says that no one should be questioned by the police unless there is a lawyer present. It's just too coercive. It's just automatically too bad. And I don't take it that far. I do respect the point of Miranda, which, of course, is that you want to make sure people are carefully advised of their rights when they're under police control, because that's when the potential for state coercion is the greatest, right? But I also think it's good when people who commit crimes go to jail. So I don't know about so much rights coddling is necessary in a situation like that. Now, having said that, I am sensitive to the theory that when people are being questioned by the police, they sometimes make false confessions, sometimes because of things the police do, and just sometimes because that's what the person is doing. That does happen. It's counterintuitive, right? When you see somebody on the video saying, I did this is how I did it, and stuff like that, you think, well, there you go, but that's not always the case. But however, it's not always the case that it's a false confession, right? And here you look at the confession, which we're going to see, plus the physical evidence, which is circumstantial, and all the evidence that they have, and you put those together. And if you're the jury, you make your decision on whether you find that confession to be a compelling piece of evidence, and you likely would here, right? And it matters in the confession if the person's giving details that somebody who didn't do it wouldn't know, things like that to give an indicia of reliability. So, yeah, it's typical for the jury to decide insanity. It can happen differently, of course, and that's typical. They do it here. You can plead not guilty by reason of insanity, and the jury can decide that. Well, really, it's all up to the states to decide, because some states have a situation where it's bifurcated, like Wisconsin, where you do not discuss sanity in phase 1, and you do it in a phase 2 if the person's found guilty, and you do it in the context of whether they should be responsible for the crime or not. Some states bifurcate. Some states go ahead and have the insanity piece part of the main trial. So, for example, in Wisconsin, voluntary intoxication cannot be the foundation of insanity defense, and they don't have, as far as I know, diminished capacity defense. So that really means that your mental state, for purposes of the ability to come up with intent in your mind, to form intent in your mind, you really can't litigate that very well in phase 1. You have to do it in phase 2. And although crazy people can intend things too, so it's different. But involuntary intoxication in Wisconsin, that is considered a separate defense, and that would be part of the main trial. They don't bifurcate it. So that's how they work the law up there. And then some states like Idaho don't have insanity as a defense generally to crime, but it would be considered in sentencing. And maybe it will be with Lori Vallow. I think her sentencing is coming up in the next few days. So that's the story on that. I know we talk about the insanity thing every day, but new people come in and it can be quite confusing. So this is phase 1 of the trial, where the jury will just consider whether she did these crimes and had the requisite intent for the crimes that require it. And then if she's found guilty, they'll go to phase 2, where they will consider whether she was insane, the legal definition of insanity, which is not the street definition of it. And I don't know that there is a medical definition of it, whether she meets the legal criteria to be found insane and thus not responsible for her crimes when she would be committed, and until she's not a danger to herself or others. So that's the story on this. So, all right. And many other things are happening in cases this week. Lots of stuff. We'll talk about it on the weekly docket, hopefully on Friday. The Koberger alibi documents filed, which doesn't really have an alibi in it, and I didn't expect one. And by the way, you don't have to have an alibi to be not guilty or even to be innocent. But for those who thought it was going to outline an alibi, it really didn't. It was a very lawyerly document, so you can just see in it whatever you want to see in it. It's a clever way to show that he's going to be found innocent, or it absolutely shows he's guilty, and neither one of those are true. It really doesn't have any impact. They're basically saying his alibi will be demonstrated by evidence that will be shown at trial, cross-examination, and other things produced in discovery, and it didn't really say anything. And I take that as you really can't take it for much in either direction. Now, I happen to think he did it, and this alibi document, of course, therefore, doesn't do anything to dissuade me of that. But it doesn't really increase my position on it either, because I didn't expect him to have an alibi. And for a lot of people, other than your telephone, if you live alone like that, what could your alibi be other than your phone to show where you were or whatever? And that's not necessarily an alibi, because you could just travel without it. So I don't think it's really bad for him if he can't say where he was, let's say from between 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning, through outside evidence. Who could without your phone if you live alone? So that's not necessarily incriminating, in my opinion, that he doesn't have that. But there are other things that are, in my opinion, incriminating. We could all have our own stuff. So now I'm hearing my mic is quiet compared to the trial audio. Yeah, I'm always trying to balance that, because I don't want to come off booming in, and then sometimes do the golf commentator, and of course something could have changed in the settings on this, and also, of course, the court, or whoever the technicians are, they're varying the volume on this stuff as well. So I don't know. Truly insane person would not be able to conduct themselves as she has the last couple of days. I hear you on that. Now remember, and here I'm just talking strictly as a lawyer, the phase 2 will be whether she was insane at the time of the crime. Right now, what's really relevant is whether she's competent to stand trial. So let's say, give the devil its due. Let's say she was insane at the time of the murder, that she actually was. Okay, I'm not saying I believe that, but let's say she was. it's possible that since she was arrested, she's been on a course of treatment and has removed that from her mind, that she's actually sane at this point. You can be sane now, but insane at the time of the crime. So now sitting on the jury, of course, you're going to look at this person and try and judge whether they're insane or not. So I don't say that you're wrong, but I'm saying from a legal standpoint, the time frame for insanity really is at the time of the murder. So whether the individuals on the jury will make that distinction or not is not up to me. All right, so we've got a minute or two here before they come back. So I'm going to take my judicial break here, and I'll see you guys in just a minute.
Johnson, why are you naked? Because my t-shirt sucks. Look at Gibson. He's wearing a true classic tee. It fits him tight in all the right places, but leaves the perfect amount of room in the front. God, I hate that guy. He looks so damn good in that shirt, he can basically do whatever the hell he wants around here. Gibson! Yeah, boss? You're a goddamn stud. Thanks, boss. True Classic is designed to enhance the male physique in all the right places. Right, Gibson? That's right, boss. I have strong arms, but also a little bit of a gut. But you wouldn't know because I wear True Classic. And if you're a skinny guy, True Classic fits tight around the arms and accentuates your biceps. But how can Jimson afford premium t-shirts? He's the worst salesman here, and I don't even think he can read. Damn it, Johnson, we all know Jimson can't read. But at least he knows that True Classic is completely affordable. And if you buy right now, you can get 20% off your first order. I don't need to know how to read to know that over 200,000 people gave True Classic a 5 stars. Good job, Jimson, that's right, 5 stars. 5 stars? Let me try one on. My God, Johnson, I don't know how I never noticed before, but you're stunning. I want a raise. Consider it done. But wait a minute. Are those True Classic pants?
Oh, I think the parties would ask that the court read a modified version of JI 158. I have it here.
Yes.
Counsel agrees. It just addresses some of the obvious edits that will be seen by the jury, just so there's no adverse inference to either party.
You agree with that, Mr. Crowley?
Yes, I do. I've reviewed it.
Okay. Then I will not read 158. I will read this version.
Thank you.
There's nothing else?
No.
We'll bring the jury in. seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you are about to hear and view an audiovisual recording. The state, the defense, and the court have agreed on relevant portions of law enforcement's interview of Ms. Schabusiness that will be played at trial. Recordings are proper evidence, and you may consider them just as any other evidence. Listen carefully. Some parts may be hard to understand.
Judge, the state is about to play what has been marked as Exhibit 110. On Exhibit 110, there are a number of files. The files are both the individual clips from the videos, but then also one continuous video. The state intends to play the continuous video. I think there's about a 2-second break of a black screen in between the respective clips that are going to be played. For the record, the actual name of the file is February 23 interview hyphen trial, and then there will be another clip played for the second interview, and that file name is February 28th interview hyphen trial. So those are the specific files from Exhibit 110 that will be played for the jury at this point.
Very good.
Okay.
I hate this fucking outfit. Never in my life. I'd rather be fucking dangerous than honest. Clean the fuck up. What are you doing?
So if you don't understand anything, please let me know. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to consult with a lawyer before questioning, to have a lawyer present with you during questioning, and if you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one who will kindly represent you at public expense before or during any questioning if you do wish. And if you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you have the right to stop the questioning and remain silent any time you wish, including during questioning. Do you understand each of these rights?
Yeah.
Yes. Realizing that you have these rights, are you now willing to answer questions or make a statement?
Yes.
All right. Well, a few hours ago, police were dispatched to an address on Stony Brook, the parents' house, Shad Therian. Do you know Shad? I know how you know Shad.
He's my ex.
He's your ex-boyfriend?
Yeah.
Well, they found a kind of disturbing stuff at the house there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of blood. Basically Shad's head.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
I know.
And then, so we know you were there at one point
Yeah.
with Shad.
Yeah.
But we also know you left. Now that van, is that your van?
No, that's my neighbor's.
Your neighbor's van?
Oh, the guy I was staying at?
Okay, so this, where did you go? Which place, where did the police get you? Was that on Eastman? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is that where you live?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm staying there right now.
Okay, is that your apartment?
No,
No. Whose apartment is it?
that man.
And who is that man?
Scott Thomas.
Scott?
Thomas.
Okay. So, that's his van?
Yes.
Okay. And so, did you leave from Shad's house and go to Scott's house sometime today?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they found part of Shad at his house, his mom's house. Found his head. Where's the rest of his body?
It's there, inside his house.
It is in the house?
It's inside his house.
Well, tell me what happened.
It's a good question, because I blacked out during that time. But, I need time to, think.
No problem. Take your time, have some water. Do you think the body is still there?
I don't see why not, unless it's just up and move, which it could have, you know.
Where do you find the body?
I was right there by the bed.
By the bed, you think?
Yeah, I was cuddling it by the bed.
You were what?
I was cuddling it by the bed.
You were cuddling the body with it? Oh, okay. Was it just you and Shad down in the basement?
Yeah.
Was anybody else down there at any point in time? When do you think you went to Shad's house?
Shit. I was it like 2 days ago.
Okay. Did you stay there the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You start to remember now what happened with Shad? A little bit, what do you remember so far?
Shit. Oh, I don't know. There was this chain thing, right? And then, yeah, like I was playing around with it.
Okay.
And like we were smoking the bitch, right?
Okay.
And then, I'm terrible at explaining things, so, let's see here. And then, here comes the chain, right? And then he put it around his neck. Well, we were like playing around and shit, and then, I don't know, I was tugging on it, and then, I don't know.
You say you're smoking a bitch, what would that be?
Ice.
Ice?
Okay.
Have you taken any other drugs tonight?
No, this is still from 2 days ago. I don't know, my eyes are fucking safe.
Were you smoking the ice?
Yeah.
And how, on a pipe or someplace else?
The one that's on the counter, or on the table. I left the baggie there.
Did?
I did.
Where?
Green baggie, and there should be right on
Well, where exactly, Eastman or Story?
at the left, that Shad's.
At Shad's.
Yeah.
And you say, where was this place, where would it be, in the basement or on the first floor or second floor?
Basement.
In the basement. And it was ice in it was a plastic, basically a bingo bag, like a little small plastic bag.
Fresh up.
Fresh up. And just you and Chad.
Yeah.
And so there was a chain. What kind of chain?
It's the one that's on the same place as where the bitch and, usually on.
And where would that be again, please?
I think it's on a dresser.
On a dresser?
Is it, oh, is it on a dresser? I don't know.
I don't know either. I haven't been there. I mean, as best as you can remember. So you think that there could be a chain and the ice on a dresser down in the basement?
It's just weird. I got like a weird flashback from it.
Oh, what happened?
Yeah, it's short. It was real short.
What did you see?
It's just, I don't even know anymore. Like, it was weird. I was riding him like a donkey, okay? And then, like, I think so. I think that's what was happening. I was pulling and then, like, I don't know.
Were you two being intimate, having sex?
It was getting there.
It was getting there, okay. So would this be considered foreplay?
Yeah, yeah, it was. And then, I don't know. And then, I just didn't stop. I don't know why. I didn't stop.
You guys have done something like this in the past?
Not like that.
Do you use manual strangulation during sex at all? Is Shad like that?
A manual strangulation, yes.
He likes strangulation?
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking
Yes, he
about?
does. Yeah, yeah,
And you do too, or just him?
both of us.
So what would you, so when's the last time you guys had sex besides potentially sworn?
Mainly me, but like, we didn't even get it, like, I'm sorry, but we didn't even get it.
Okay, so you didn't, all right, but when's the last time you did?
I mean, I played with him a little after. I have no idea, like, August.
And what would you guys like to do? Is there a certain role playing that you did with Chad? Or was it just some sort of strangulation? How would you guys do your, basically have sex?
Like, I just wanna, you just, so, yeah, and we, go at it.
But does anybody like strangle the other person?
I like doing that a lot.
All right, so you like being strangled, like having your airway, or do you like doing it to somebody else?
I like doing it to somebody else.
Does Shad like to be strangled during sex?
I have no idea. I think so.
Have you done it before
Yeah,
with him?
yeah, he does. He likes it.
Have you used what we call props in the past?
Yes.
What?
Well, like dildo?
That or rope or chain or underwear or anything?
Yeah. I shoved a dildo in his ass and mouth.
In the past or just recently?
When he was there, when he was on the bed. Yeah.
So obviously you say you smoke some ice. Do you take any prescription medications?
No.
You have any mental health issues we should be aware of?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I think
Have you been diagnosed with anything officially? Because I know that Shad has some mental health issues. It's according to his mother. Since high school?
Yeah.
Where do you guys go to school together? Before? Okay. Did you graduate the same class or?
Yes. He didn't graduate.
You graduated? All right. So then you guys were boyfriend, girlfriend at one point? For how long?
2 years.
2 years?
2 years.
2 years?
2 years.
And is this right after high school or
No, during high school.
during? Okay. And what year did you graduate?
16.
2016?
Yeah.
So you and Chad date after high school?
We seen each other.
Okay.
We definitely seen each other.
Seeing each other, but were you officially a couple, so to speak, or was it just, did you still have sex with him?
I did it once.
Just once?
Yeah.
Back in high school?
Yeah.
So when did you start seeing him again? Recently?
He's my buddy. He's my homie. So like, you know.
Alright, so you've always been friends?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you get over to Shad's?
The minivan.
To Minnetonka? When do you think you went there? You remember?
2 days ago.
2 days ago? Okay. Did you stay there all the time, or did you ever pick them up and go someplace, or then come back? Or
Stay there.
how did you get in? Was Shed there when you got there, or Shed let you in? Or you just walk in on your own?
He was there, we went in, got some shit, we came back, and then, methamphetamine, you know,
I see.
and then, yeah, ice, and then we came back.
Okay, so you showed up at his place. Then you and him left,
Yeah,
and you went and got some meth.
yeah, so then, we went, and, I picked him up, went and got some ice, and then after that, we went to, back to Scott's, we smoked,
Okay,
yeah, and then, I did his hair, but.
you did Shed's hair
Yeah, I did him a little bit.
at Scott's?
Yeah, and then after that, I, trimmed his face, you know,
Mhm.
feeling good. We left, we went back to his mom's.
Okay.
I was looking for some crack. I never got no crack.
You need a Okay. So when you went back there, it was just you and Shed go back to his mom's? Or did Steve come?
Steve?
Or Scott?
Scott.
I'm gonna do that occasionally, and I apologize if I do get names sometimes, but.
Alright, yeah.
Did Scott, they come with you?
Scott stayed at home the whole time at Eastman. That's his residence.
Alright, so you and Shed.
He
went back
is
to
not
his-
involved at all.
Okay. So you and Shed went back to, Shad's mom's house. How'd you get in? Did you see, was anybody home?
The door was unlocked. We went.
What time do you think this was?
That's a good question.
Was anybody home? Did you encounter anybody? I understand his mom lives there.
Tara?
Tara?
I don't know. Is that the mom's name?
Yes.
Damn, the head.
And then,
Yeah, I can't believe I let the head go.
where'd you do the body?
The body's there. Yeah. It's,
So were you gonna take the head somewhere?
I like that.
You liked it?
Well, you're gonna have fun trying to look for all the organs, but, yeah, they're all dismembered. Yeah,
So you dismembered the body too?
yeah.
And what did you do with the body parts?
Oh, they're in the house.
Somewhere?
They're like, yeah.
Basement, upstairs, downstairs?
Absolutely in the basement. I was gonna bring them with them. And then, I know I forgot the head. I wanted the head.
Did you bring anything with you?
Yeah, it's in the van.
What?
It's in the van. It's, what is it? I don't know, a foot maybe.
The what?
I think it's a foot.
A foot in the van?
A leg maybe. I don't know. I'm like, I'm gonna bring it all, and then I'm like, man, this is messy, so then I just left it. I got lazy.
Okay.
I got lazy, and that's what I did, so I'm like,
Okay. So there's gonna be maybe a foot or a leg in the van. And then,
yeah.
what did you do with the head?
I forgot that was in the van, so, yeah.
What did you do with the head?
The head, I put it in that bucket, that black bucket,
Black bucket?
with the blanket on top.
Okay.
I should have it.
And then where'd you leave it?
Leave the head? That's still in the bucket, it's right by the stairs.
Upstairs? Okay. How did you dismember its body then?
Nice.
Was that
Nice.
knives? Just more than one knife? Where'd you get those from?
Kitchen. Just not find mine, and I wasn't sharp enough.
You weren't sharp?
No, it was alright. Bread knife works good.
Bread knife?
A bread knife works good, yeah.
Really?
I had to use what I used, so like, yeah. I got lazy last night, so
Where would these knives be now?
they're in with all the organs and all the body parts.
And where was that?
in the black bag, it's in the black bag of,
Basement?
it's in the basement, they're all in the basement, I never got the basement, I just went up the stairs.
To get so all the body parts and knives will be in a black bag. What kind of bag?
Black zipper bag next to a pink and black Under Armour backpack, that Shaq gave me, so I left it there.
Is it a big bag?
Medium,
What kind of stuff would you normally put in this bag?
put anything in the bag.
Well, I mean, is it a trash bag or is it a garbage bag or is it, you know what I mean? Kind of bag?
Backpack,
No, the bag that has the body parts.
I have the backpack.
That's a backpack?
Backpack.
Is it a big one?
Yeah, the other one's like a little duffel, black duffel.
Okay. So you, at one point, did you bring these bags with you? Or were they already there?
I was gone, but I got lazy and.
Right, you're gonna bring them with you when you left. But were the bags there when you used them, or did you bring them when you was Shad? Or did you just find them there?
They were there, and I found them there, and I emptied them out and put them in there, and I was gonna bring it, and I got paranoid, and I got lazy, and I never get paranoid, but this time it was just like, I think it was the dope. I think it was the dope.
So, did you want Shad to be dead?
No, it was out of random, like, I wasn't expecting that, and it kind of threw me off guard, and it was in an open place, you know, that, you went in the basement, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty open.
Well, I haven't done it, but is it?
It's so like it was weird. It was really weird. And you open the door to the outside, and you go down the stairs, and it's right there. Like you can see everything, like right as you go down the stairs.
And so, where did you get the chains?
I don't know, he pulled it out of his pocket.
You pulled it out.
He had two of them, one for me, one for him.
Can you describe them to me?
Chain
Chain link?
link and silver.
Silver? Okay. And what size? Was it like a dog chain or a large lock type of chain? You
They're
know what
like
I'm saying?
this big. And then, you know, and then it has O-ring.
Mhm.
And
So silver chains.
yes,
And he had two of them. And what'd you guys do with them?
we put them around her neck.
You did. Okay. And then what were you doing while they were around their necks?
I was strangling them.
You were strangling them.
I was having fun with them, and then,
Was their clothes on or off?
he had his shorts on.
You had a shorts on, how about you?
I don't know, I didn't really care at the time, but,
Did he ever put the chain around you? Put the chain ever around your neck?
I put it around my neck.
Do you have any marks or anything?
You didn't get the chance to strangle me.
Yeah, just he. Did you get a chance to strangle you?
No.
Was that, he was going to though? Or was that part of the?
I thought that was the thing, and then like, I don't know, I just went a little crazy.
So when did you realize that Shad was not alive anymore?
You know, his face turned purple. He was coughing up blood, and his face turned
He was pissing himself. His face was all purple.
I still didn't stop, I don't know what was going on, I don't know what the blood, and then
So his blood was coming out of his
I kept on
mouth?
feeling his heartbeat. Hearing his heartbeat,
I'm sorry?
hearing his heartbeat start.
Okay. Did you hear it stop?
No, maybe, no.
Okay.
No,
So
can try to do that.
Did you figure he was dead then?
Yeah,
And what did you do?
play with him a little bit.
Did you try to call his mom or dad or anybody else in the house? You tried calling an ambulance? Why not?
It's happened before.
So,
Yeah.
so do you want him? You want him to die or you did? I'm trying to understand.
I didn't want him to die, actually.
You did.
He's my buddy, but like it happened.
Happen again, but then did you feel a need to try to help him? Stop choking him or get an ambulance? You didn't feel a need to do that?
I don't know why, I just, it happened so fast.
So then after you realized he was no longer, he was dead, his face was purple, he said his mouth, blood was going out of his mouth. What'd you do?
Clean him up a little bit. And then, I just played with him like a little,
You said play with him, what do you mean?
played with his big,
Okay.
like I put him up over the bed, and then, stuff with it.
And you had him on the bed? What kind of bed? Was it an actual bed or just a mattress or what? So then you had sex with him?
Yes. And I had a dildo when I did that.
Okay.
I played with him too.
What'd you do with the
And
dildo?
I just cuddled him and hugged him.
What'd you do with the dildo?
I put it in his mouth, put it in his ass,
Okay.
put it back. Put it back.
Where was this at? Where'd you put it back?
It's like in the, it's like on the wall, next to the body, right, and then,
Is it in a bed or on a shelf
it's
or?
in a wooden, box.
Wooden box. Okay. And what color was the dildo? You just. So
Pink.
you had sex with him. You said dildo on. You said you cuddled for a while. And then what? And you cuddled him. Where were you, on the bed with him?
Yeah,
So you cuddled his body. And then what did you decide to do?
well, because like before, like I felt for his, heartbeat, but then I still felt his heartbeat, right?
You did?
I did,
You felt it?
yeah, so I kept on pulling more and more and more, and I went back and it's almost like he wouldn't die. I was like, dang. And then he was like rebuilding in the muscle, and I don't even know, it was crazy. And then, I don't know.
Just before you had sex with him? Or after? While you had sex with him?
We never had sex, but when we were getting there, I was just choking.
I understand that. You said that she played with his penis
Yeah.
after he was dead.
Oh, yeah.
Was it erect?
It was half. It was half.
Yeah. Did you,
Even, yeah, even.
what did you do with his
after,
penis?
I cut it off.
Did you ever place it in your vagina or any of your body parts?
No, I just.
You didn't use it as a dildo or anything? Okay. So you're saying then you're like choking on the stuff, and was he struggling at all?
He has big neck muscles, so. He was good.
He's trying to fight you. Sometimes people have a flight or fight, you know what I mean? The reaction that something happens, so they try to grab, you know.
He did. And then,
He didn't, or
no, he did.
did you get hurt at all? I see, you know, you had that cut on your thumb. How do you think you got that?
Oh, that was dismemberment.
That was just not.
That was a lot, yeah, I got lazy in that process right now, so.
Did you, use any other devices besides knives? Just, those scratches on your arms and stuff, were they from wounds?
Oh, no. I was,
And how did you get them?
so, this one, I did by myself.
Oh,
This one, I probably did by myself. This one, probably did by myself.
so they weren't him trying to grab you or anything? Did he try to grab you at all with his hands? Yeah. So the blood on your hands, would that be Chad's blood?
Oh, probably, yeah. I'm telling you, I got super lazy tonight.
Okay.
I really don't know. I blame it being on drugs and the come down that I'm coming down off of.
How many times do you think you've done this
I never
before?
do drugs. Like, I barely do drugs. I do drugs, but then like once in like a few like weeks, not even like that, like months go by and then I'll do drugs.
I see. And where did you dismember this? In the basement, right?
Because I was looking for Donna and, yeah.
You do anything particular with the head or the body? What did you do with the blood? What happened to all the blood?
It's still in there, still in the tote. I mean, with the pill.
The pill.
There's a shower in the basement. You go in the next side over and I just dumped it out into the drain. It's probably still with it.
Where did you go? The bucket?
Yeah. Well, I drained his head. Well, like, after I sweated his blood, I put it in the bucket, but then there's still blood in this bucket because it's coming out of the head. Should have took the brains out, but I didn't do that. And then
So you cleaned his head in the shower and then dumped the bucket?
I should have cleaned his head in the shower. I should have polished it up, but, yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
And what do you use to stomach that head again?
The knives.
The knives?
Yeah.
Were they, well, you said one was a butter knife. What kind of knives were they then? Big knives or knives? Butcher knives?
They were the kitchen knives, so everybody just,
Butcher block?
There's two like little knives there. And then, they were like probably 4 inches. And then, the other ones, they were probably like 6-inch knives.
And where were they in the
One was
kitchen?
a steak knife, one was a bread knife.
When you say
wanted
bread
bread
knife, is that
I
like
wanted
a serrated edge on it, or is it a flat edge on the bread knife? You know what I mean by serrated?
It's great.
And where were these knives in the kitchen?
They were in, shit. They were right next to the oven.
Were they in, like a knife holder thing, or in a drawer, or where?
They were in, like, you know what I'm talking about, when the,
Yeah, that's some, a holder that put
yeah, that's the one right there, like, it was in the,
by the oven.
by the oven. I really like that, though.
What can we do?
I that's how messed up my head was. Like, I was really messed up. Like, I don't know what was going on. I was just going crazy. And then, I don't know what was going on at all because this, I think it was the open area. I wasn't in a room by myself. There was no door. It's an open area. It was an open area. I didn't like it. It was different. At all.
Or was there anybody else there?
Maybe upstairs.
Upstairs? And how come why did you leave? Did anything cause you to leave the house?
I kept on hearing footsteps,
Okay.
gunshots. So
And what else, I'm sorry?
gunshots.
Gunshots? Why did you think you heard those?
I had no idea.
Do you have a gun with you?
No, I didn't.
Did you hear a gun in the house?
No, I think it was outside. Yeah, and then
You afraid someone was coming
it was
there?
weird. I'm never paranoid, but then out of nowhere, like I got
Not paranoid.
first like for a couple of seconds, and then we go away, and then like go away and come back. It was weird. It was really. It was a weird night. Like,
Yeah, I would
I don't
imagine.
even know. Like, this one was weird. I didn't like the openness.
Yeah.
I did.
Too much room.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sure I'm gonna have some questions for you. I'll take a kick break. Maybe drink some water. And did you tell them what happened or not? You tell them what happened at Chad?
Yeah, he's got body parts in his hand, so he's gotta get that out.
Yeah, we'll
I
get it.
forgot about that. I've been off of it right now. I blame the fucking drugs. Honestly, so,
Just a minute.
yeah.
Are you supposed to take any prescription medications?
Nope.
Okay. All right. I want to look into a couple other things and we'll be with you and if you need anything, you knock on the door. Okay?
How are you doing?
Good. Everything okay? All right. How's it sound?
It's great. I need stitches.
You're gonna need some
I'm gonna
stitches.
need stitches.
The thing is, we need to get there before.
Usually you're good there, say, I think it's stitches, you got 24 hours. Do you think you cut yourself over 24 hours ago?
Oh, yeah, I just did it like 4 hours ago.
You did it 4 hours ago?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's actually one of the things that we want to kind of do is we call it timeline, just to kind of get an idea of what you were doing since you first had contact with Chad. How did you call him up? Did he call you up, or did you just show up at his house, or how did you decide to go over to his place?
Hey. I said, hey, come over here. And then I went and got him.
You called him, or he called you, or
Yeah.
how? Do you have a phone?
No, it was actually from my friend AJ, our friend AJ. Yeah.
Where were you?
That's Scott's.
Okay, are you there too?
Yeah.
So you're at Scott's, and your friend AJ was there?
Yeah.
What's AJ's, any other, his last name or first
Big
name?
Gannon.
Huh?
He's Gannon.
Gannon?
Big Gannon, yeah.
How do you spell that name?
Gannon.
What Scott know who he is?
Yeah.
Was Scott there?
He's referenced as Black AJ.
Is he a black guy?
He's a black guy.
Okay.
He's got Jeep girls.
Was, Scott there then, when you and AJ were at the apartment on Eastman?
Yes.
Okay.
We walked over there.
So you called Chad using AJ's phone?
AJ
Okay.
talked to Shad.
AJ talked to Chad.
Yeah. And he was just like, hey man, come on, where's Scott? And then Chad was like, I might have got a ride, but can you come get me? And, so then, I
Did you
went.
text them?
Yeah. So then he's like, wait, never mind, I'm alright. So then we went and got him.
Okay. And then who went on?
I took him in.
Did you go by yourself or somebody else?
I grabbed him. I took AJ and I put him in the seat. And then,
So you and AJ went to Shed? To Shed?
yeah.
Which I think this was. Okay. So you and AJ were at Scott's. And AJ contacted Shad by text message probably, saying come over, something like that. Were you and AJ using drugs at that time?
No, we were smoking the yield with Mary Jane, but that was about it.
Just smoking marijuana? Okay. So then who went and picked up Shad?
We grabbed, I took AJ in the front seat and then we went over to Chad.
Okay. And so how did you get there?
Via van.
Did Scott know you were taking the van?
I said, hey Scott, I'm taking the van, I'm picking up Shad. And then
Okay.
he was just like, no! And then I'm like, okay, and I took it. Yeah.
Okay. So he didn't want you to take it, but you took it
But I
anyway?
took it anyway.
Okay. And where did you go?
To Shad's house.
His dad's house? Mom's house? Where?
Mom's house.
Okay. Did you go inside the house at all?
I knocked on the door, I said, hey Shad, come here. And then like, he came here, and then like, he came here.
All right, so then Shad got into the van, and AJ was in the van, and you, and then where'd you go?
And then we went to, so me and AJ and Chad, we went to his dad's house, right?
Whose house?
We went to his dad's house.
Shad's dad?
Chad's dad, and we from his mom's to his dad.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, I don't know. And then, from there, we went and picked up some dope.
So was anybody at Shad's dad's house? Was Shad's dad there?
Yeah, Chad's dad was there.
Okay. Did you talk to him or have contact with him?
So, Michael B, yeah.
Okay. How long were you think you were at Shad's dad's house?
Like 10 minutes.
Okay. And where did you go to store dope?
I don't know. Like, that's the thing, like, I don't even know where it was, like, I'm just like, put it in the Addy, and he's like, "What?" And then he went and got it, and then,
So who made arrangements to get that?
maybe Shad? Shad?
Shad, maybe?
Yeah.
So, do you remember, was it a business, a house, or a car? You met somebody in a car? What did it happen?
No, he was just like, hey, you got any pretty girls inside? I'm like, hell no, I'm gonna knock his ass out. But he says that, right? And then, like, for me to go in and get the dope, I'm like, I'm not getting the dope. I'm like, Shad, go get the dope. So Shad went and got the dope, and then he came back with the dope.
Okay, and where was this, do you think?
This was, I don't know, I have no idea, I just.
Was it a house or apartment or?
You said put the Addy in, did somebody use their cell phone to find the house address?
Could have been.
Do you know who might have looked it up?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure.
AJ or Shad?
I have no idea.
But Shad's the one that went in to get the dope? How much did he buy?
Oh, that was on me, I gave him $100.
Okay, so you bought $100 worth of meth?
That's what I did.
All right, and is the three of you still in the van?
Yeah, when he got back in,
And where'd you guys go?
we went back to Scott.
All right, went back to Scott's. Who's all there then?
Scott, AJ, Shad, and me.
And what'd you guys do?
We smoked.
Smoke what?
The reefer.
Marijuana?
We smoked the reefer. I didn't smoke the reefer. You know, they smoked the reefer.
Who had that, with the reefer? Someone bring it with them, or is that already there?
It was, the reefer was there. The reefer was there. And then after that, me and Shad, we were talking on the bitch. And then after that,
So you and Shad smoked some meth at Scott's?
we had to smoke some.
Where were you guys located?
That would be Eastman.
Right, were you in an apartment, but were you in a bedroom, in a living room, in the kitchen?
Bedroom.
Was Scott using any of it?
He was chilling on the chair, rocking back and forth.
Did he see you guys smoking meth or marijuana?
No, that's all behind him. You can't see. You can't see it, no.
Why not?
Because that's behind him.
Okay.
He's facing this way, we're this way.
Okay. So then the three of you were smoking marijuana, and you and Chad smoked meth. And so then what happened then? Who went where?
I started cutting Shad's hair.
That's right, you said you
Yeah,
gave him a haircut.
give him the haircut and everything, and then right after that, AJ was just like, you don't let him go. So then I'm like, all right, see ya.
You left on his own?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he tried it on foot. And me and Shad, we took out. I shot him up, and I took him out. I did. I had one shot too.
And where did you get that stuff from?
That's the same place.
I know, but, so you bought it with the meth, you bought the other stuff too? Where did you shoot them up with?
Same shit. The trazodone?
Yeah.
I crushed it. I crushed it up.
And where did you get the trazodone from?
The table.
The table, where's the table located?
Right by Scott's
Was it Scott's trazodone?
yeah, here.
Are you sure it's trazodone?
They said it on the bottom.
So you took some pills from where? You said on a
From
table?
the counter.
On a counter? And it said trazodone on the label?
Yep.
And was it Scott's pills? Was Scott's name on there too?
Yeah.
And you crushed them up, and then what did you do with them?
I put it in the syringe. I pulled it back, and then I shot him.
Okay. And you said you took a shot too?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Where did you get the injection? Where did you inject them at?
I got it from a friend.
No, but I mean, when you shot,
Where did I shoot him up?
yeah,
Shit, probably in the arm.
in the army then?
Yeah, there.
You said you got the hypo from a friend? Indeed. Have you used drugs, they call intravenously, some meters before?
Yeah.
Alright, so were you guys in a bedroom, in a living room, or someplace else where, bedroom? Okay. And then what do you guys do?
And then, we just took off, cause, we just headed over to his mom's house. We got cozy on the bed and, we drove into the driveway, right? Opened the door, we went down the stairs. We chilled on the bed, and right after we chilled on the bed, he put the collar on.
So you and Shad left, Scott's van. Did Scott know you were leaving?
I said, hey, I don't even know, actually. I don't know.
Do you remember what time that was, or was it day, dark out, light out? Night, you know what I mean? What time of day was it, you think?
Like 12 maybe, I'm just gonna guess. I really have no idea. I don't know the clocks, I don't have the phone.
Was it dark out?
Yeah.
Okay. So you went to Shad's parents' house, Shad's mom's house.
Mhm.
Did you meet anybody as you were arriving?
No. He didn't.
All right, and then you went into the basement.
Yep. Open the door and then into the basement, down the stairs, and then
Yeah.
onto the bed where you click on the collar.
Was it right away you started doing that?
I don't know. This is what I remember.
How long do you think you were in the basement?
Until I left. I really don't know.
Was it during the day at all?
I really don't know.
Was it, did you sleep at all?
I mean, I was playing with him all night, so,
Okay, so you're playing with him all night?
yeah.
What about during the day?
He kind of went into the day. I still was playing with him. But like, are you talking about the trophy session? 'Cause,
Well, from the time you got to Shad's mom's, how long do you think you were there before you left?
like, until he like died, or like,
No, until you actually left.
until I
And went
left?
back eastman, yeah. So by the time you first got there to the time you actually left,
I don't know. I don't do time. Like, I really don't do it.
was it overnight?
Yeah.
So I'm asking because it was, it's the boyfriend, Steve.
Did you at some point the boyfriend have to let you in,
Shut
into the house?
Who don't unlock the door
Did he unlock the door
and open it?
and opened it for you guys?
He did.
Okay, so when you guys got there after shooting up the first time and
Yeah.
coming back from Eastman, he did open the door for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, from then till the time you left, how long do you think it was? The whole day? An hour? You know what I mean?
It was, shit, I don't even know, like,
So you got there and Chad's mom's boyfriend let you in,
Mhm.
and you went to the basement. Did you start getting together right away, or did you sleep for a while, or what do you think you remember you did?
We went there, 5 minutes in, I was already choking him.
All right, so it happened pretty quick.
Yeah.
And you talk about you were playing with him.
My husband was different with his corpse.
Okay. Was it light out at some point? Was the sun out?
When I looked out the little window, I seen it.
You can see light?
I could see the
So
light.
you were playing with him when it was light out?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so particularly within, you said within 5 minutes of getting there, you guys started, he pulled off the chains, I guess you were saying, and he put it on his neck.
Yeah,
Did you put one on, you never put one around yours, or did you put one
I
on?
did.
You
I
did?
did. It was tiny. I finally got it around and I put it on my neck and then I took it off. After he was on, but like,
So, you started choking him, and when you were choking him, what did he do? What were you guys doing, I guess, is to try to explain it as best as you can.
he was coughing up the blood right, and I was just waiting for him to die, and then, like, I was looking at his purple face,
Well, did he
During
expect,
the
did he expect to have sex with you?
because I felt like it was fucked up. I'm like, damn, I'm already this far, so then I was like, yeah.
I understand, but why would he put the chain around his neck?
Because he's a kinky mother, yeah.
So was he expecting to have sex with you then? Kinky sex? Kinky sex?
I would assume so.
But you said that he just started choking. How long did it take for him to die?
like, 3 to 5 minutes maybe. But, I don't know. I have no idea.
You said that when you were choking, you started coughing up blood.
Oh, yeah. I was like,
And
damn.
you just decided that.
I like to see what happens.
So you just kept going harder and, okay.
I
So you want to see what happened when he died?
I just watched it, yeah.
Okay.
Well, this one was different. This one was calming.
Blood.
So when he put the chain around his neck, he thought that you guys were going to have kinky sex, right? You think that's what Chad was thinking, maybe?
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
I was gonna do the same thing. You know, I was going in, and I did. And I went in. But then he was like, choke me. But he didn't really say it, so I'm like, he put it on his neck. I already know I'm gonna choke him. And I did. So,
All right, so before that, was there any foreplay?
we launched onto the bed. We went from the stairs to the bed, and then, yeah.
Were clothes on or off?
Yeah, and now the,
But before the chain went around his neck, were you and Chad like kissing or any foreplay or anything?
no, we were chilling at home.
You just chilling. So all of a sudden, the chain went around his neck?
Yeah.
How come? I'm just trying to get it.
He likes it.
All right.
I was gonna walk him like a dog.
And he wanted that?
I have no idea. Well, I was gonna do it anyway.
Okay. And you claim it was his idea? With the chain?
Obviously not. No, it was his idea. It was all him.
All right, so you're on the bed, the chain goes around his neck and you start choking him. And you just realized that he was gonna die or what?
I'm just like, shit. I think I went a little too far, because I was blacking out while I was doing it, right? And then like, fuck. And then like, I look at him, I'm like, shit, he's already crippled. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I don't know if he's fucking, is he good? Is he good? But then like when I woke up, like, you know, during the blackout moment, I'm like, shit. Like he was coughing up blood. I'm like, I don't know, I just kept on going. Like, sad. Sorry.
You made the comment, you said that when you were choking, you was coughing up blood, you kind of were like, well, I'm going this far, I'm just gonna keep going. Did you realize that by continuing that may kill him?
Oh yeah, because I felt bad because I'm like, damn, he's gonna be wheezing after this. I'm like, might as well just kill him.
Okay. So you realize that by continuing that you may actually kill him then?
He was, I swear to God, he was telling me, he's just like, just do it. So I'm like, wow. And I did it.
Okay.
Like, I swear, I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, I accidentally fucked up and then I fucked. I'm like, ah. And then, yeah, that's exactly what happened. All those
And
movies.
you also said that you enjoyed it, right? And I enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah.
All right. What'd you enjoy about that?
I'm just,
Was it kind of thrilling, a rush, exciting? What was the feeling that you got out of it?
that's all it is. I don't know.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand what you were feeling. You're saying that you had enjoy it. You know, did it make you happy? Was it just kind of exciting? Like opening Christmas presents
Like,
or?
I don't know. Like, this is the thing that I have, like, I've always had, you know, like, you ever love something so much that you kill it? Like, it happens to me, that's the feeling that I have. I love something so much that I kill it. Like, I love it so much, and then I kill it. That's what happens to me. So,
All right, so he dies, he's dead. And then you just kept playing with his body? Okay. And when did you decide to, how long did you play with his body, you think? Is that when you thought it was looked outside and it might have been light out too?
I don't know, it's still dark.
Still dark?
Yeah, it's gotta be like, 2-3 hours.
And is that also when you Used a dildo?
Yeah.
Did you have sex with his body at all? At any point, or any type of sexual contact? You know, obviously the dildo and stuff,
Put
but.
the dick in his ass.
Hmm?
I grinded on him, I put the dick in his ass.
You grinding on,
Yeah, and listening.
did you ever put his penis in your vagina? Or you just grind on him?
Did you see before that you performed a roll on him?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was after he was dead?
Yeah. And then, and then you gotta have to do this like half hard while I was still sucking while he was dead. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And was that part of playing with him, or
That is part of playing with him.
That was part of playing with him.
did you?
Actually, I was just, I was severing his head while I was doing that too.
You were stopping his
Yeah.
So it was only a couple hours before you severed his head?
Probably, yeah.
Or did you fall asleep at any point in time, or? So how long do you think you were in that basement? Because you didn't leave until like 3 or 4 this morning, right? But what about during the day? What did you do during the day?
I don't know, like, I was kind of like dozing off, like, you know, nodding out.
He was dead already? Was his head still on?
No, I took that off, that was the first thing I took off.
Okay.
I wanted the head.
What about the rest of his body?
I didn't even take it. And then, the rest of his body, it's, like on the fucking, I don't even know what it is. It's in a big blue container, you know? And
Just a
it's big
container?
Tupperware. It's like a big Tupperware, it's not a Tupperware, but it's a Tupperware container, like a,
big storage code?
yeah, one of those. And then,
So that's where body parts are in? Or are they, I thought just they're in a black bag?
they're scattered around.
Okay, so both probably. But when did you start, cutting up his body?
I don't know, like almost right away. I was sucking and cutting at the same time.
Okay. But what about the rest of his body parts? Did that take all day? Did you?
I was getting pissed off at the dismemberment process, actually.
Did it take a while?
It took a while.
Yeah, because like I was nodding out. Sorry.
Okay, so you're kind of sleeping, kind of nodding in and out. Have you taken any other drugs?
I should have took drugs. I probably would have helped, but I didn't. And I just sat there. Yeah.
Do you remember it being daylight at all? When you were-
Yeah, when I looked at the window and I seen the daylight.
And was his body together still then, or?
Body was never together. It's just like, I had fun with him for that 2 hours and then boom.
So, but it took a while to cut the rest of the body up? Okay.
All messed up too.
So, I'm just trying to ask so I understand tools. So you said were you cutting and then you kind of nod off, kind of wake up and start cutting again?
Yeah.
So it took you a little while to cut the body apart. There were times where when a mat or whatever, you didn't work nonstop to dismember his body, right?
I mean, I probably did well. In my sleep, I do things in my
You
sleep.
did things in your sleep.
But yeah, but like, that's probably it right there.
Did anybody ever come downstairs at all?
Tara came she came downstairs and then with the kitty cat, and then she set the kitty cat down and took over the kitty cat, and then the kitty cat was walking around. And I threw the kitty cat, and then yeah.
Did you talk to her?
I'm like, hey Tara. I don't know, it's just weird. Cause like it was an open space, like there was no closed door, and I'm like, it was weird.
She saw anything?
I have no idea. I have to ask her. Good question. It's a freak out, so.
So you think she came down at one point and dropped the kitty cat off downstairs in the basement? Nice.
How long was she in the basement, just shortly to drop the cat, or?
Yeah, she just came down there to drop the cat off, to go use the kitty litter,
Okay.
the box, and then she went right back upstairs. Yeah, and then,
All right, so then throughout this process, you would cut off a body part with one of the knives, and you would put it in the bag or the tote or something like that.
yeah, I was still tweaking out, so I was like, I'm gonna get on that, and then I'm like, wow, it's getting dull. So I grabbed another one, and then I was cutting it, and it was getting dull. And I was tweaking, so like, I'm like, oh shoot. I haven't done that. I didn't mean for all this to happen, and I'm like, I fucked up, I know I fucked up, and I'm like, shit. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's what happened.
No, you know, it's feelings, got a mom and a sister and a dad and family and more than being sorry, you know. You killed them.
You gotta tell the sister sorry. Didn't mean for that to happen.
You didn't mean to kill them.
I
But you didn't try to help them.
No, I didn't, no. It works both ways, like, I have no idea, like, it
You was gonna
gotta
die.
be put into change.
Right, you was gonna die, so.
I mean, I didn't, but at the same time, I woke up like, fuck, that's bad. I didn't know what to do, cause like, he was gonna be like, ah, like, fuck, I don't know. You know what I mean? Cause like, I don't know.
But you liked it?
I liked it. I'm like, fuck, like, it was, like, I didn't know what to do, but like, I liked it though.
Well, you knew that you didn't want to call police or ambulance or anything, so.
Actually, I thought about it. And then, I was getting angry at myself. Very angry at myself because I didn't have a crack.
Yeah.
Sucks not having that.
Was it sexual side to you when you were choking, Chad?
Oh, yeah. Very.
Was it exciting when you were sucking on his penis after he was dead?
It was very exciting. Everything was, we should check on my panties. Boom.
Hey, can you see us? I'm gonna ask you a question. I just want to kind of clarify some things quick. Kind of Graf here shortly. Probably, I believe he's gonna step in. It won't take long. So, after the incident where you choked him out, can you describe how you placed him before, because you said you cut his head off first, correct?
Yeah.
Can you describe where was he laying on the bed?
I pulled him,
Okay.
like, say this is the bed.
Okay, so this is the top of the bed?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, I pulled him, and then, his head was hanging off.
So you're probably laying face out? So
Yeah.
his back was on the bed?
Back was on the
His
bed.
head's partially off the bed?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, the tub was like right there.
Like the pail that you had the
Yeah.
head in before? Okay. So basically his head's here and the bucket's right here?
Yeah, and then, from there, I started his,
You cut his head off?
yeah.
Okay. After you cut his head off, I know you said you dumped the pail at one point into the shower.
In the shower, yeah.
Okay. Did you leave the body there for a while to drain into the pail, or what? How?
It's all in the tub, in the blue tub. You found the blue tub, right?
I don't know if they're slowly going through the scene, so there's a lot of his blood. Did you pull the tub under there then?
Oh no, I moved the tub like real fast.
Oh, so you cut the head and pulled the tub under there?
No, when I was dismembering the body,
Yep.
it was, I mean, I'm going like this with a knife, so there's blood fucking going everywhere, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, and then,
But initially, when you cut his head off, there was a pail underneath, correct? Okay, so the head went into the pail,
Yeah.
the blood went into the pail. Did the blood bucket fill all the way up with blood?
No,
No? Okay.
no.
Then, did you move him again when you started with the pail? Because you're talking about that blue Tupperware thing.
So I think there's a black pail, and then there's a blue Tupperware thing, right? And then his head was hanging off. And then I cut the head off, and then, I moved it over, and I brought it back, and then I put it in the pail.
Okay, so initially the head went into the blue Tupperware thing, kind of?
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of blood in that one right now.
In the blue Tupperware thing.
Yeah.
At any point did you, like, before you, because you said you removed the head first,
Mhm.
did you start removing limbs right away, or did you kind of wait a little while? And
That's the weird thing, like, cause, when it started happening, like, I started, like, nodding out.
Okay.
And then I was going crazy on the limbs, like, even while I was sleeping, and then it looked messed up, and I didn't like it.
Okay. But you believe the blue tub, that big tub, like, probably, I'm thinking it's 4 years described, it's only, like, Tupperware tubs about like this size, kind of that 3 cubic 1 foot one, and that's where most of the blood is, along like a bunch of his organs.
The organs are everywhere too.
His organs are everywhere.
Yeah.
Did you like hide organs in the house?
Oh, they're in plastic bags,
In the tub?
In, backpacks.
In the back?
In the backpacks, and then in the,
Did you remove all organs, like his intestines and everything, or?
Yeah.
Where are the intestines, do you remember?
they're gonna be in a plastic bag.
They're all in plastic bags
They're gonna be in a
too.
plastic
So that
bag.
blue tub is almost just all blood, is what you, I thought you were saying.
It should be like only like this much.
All right. Okay, we're just trying to clarify a couple of things, I'm just trying to make sense of something,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
All right, I appreciate it, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
This is terrible.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, how are yourself?
All right, can we talk a few minutes again?
Yeah.
So, out at the house right now, there's, you know what a medical examiner is? They're the ones that kind of like take care of people that died and see how they died. And so, you know, they have a bunch of questions for us that we really can't answer. And the biggest questions that they have is exactly how did you dismember Shad?
Nice.
Did you know, cut arms, or I mean, was it just internal organs, or?
So you started on the head, right?
Yeah, and then I don't know where I'm from there. I just want to.
Did you cut it, or did you remove his arms? Okay, can you show me where you would cut on the arms?
Right there.
Right at the elbows, was this part of the arm left on?
You gotta go in that blue bed.
Okay, look.
Yeah.
But you know that you cut off at the elbows? Okay, you cut both arms off at the elbows?
I would hope so. Because like, I was saying that dismemberment process I did was like really messed up because like I was nodding out. And then I was like sawing it off.
Did
Did you use just a knife?
Just the knife, like, yeah.
Did you remove any part of his, did you dismember his legs at all? What was you on the legs?
I think there's one leg that's actually intact.
Okay.
And then, maybe. Where is it? I have no idea.
Where was his body located when you did this dismembering? Was it in one spot, or?
Yeah. It was all in the same spot.
And where's that again?
Blue tub.
So the body was in the blue tub as you were cutting it up? Okay, then did you empty the tub at points, or, you know what I mean?
Was there a bed down there, or just a mattress, or?
There was a mattress that was laid down. There should be blood on the sheets. Like a lot of blood, but, I tried to get it out. But, I can't fucking think right now, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm fucking nuts.
Yeah, you know, because, like I said, just, yeah. And they'll probably figure it out eventually, but, they just had some questions about, like, where blood might have went, or most of it went. And he said a
That was
bucket, or, that was drain, or that. But it was, when you took off his head, was he lying on a mattress? Or was he someplace else?
I had his head hanging off,
The mattress?
and then I was on it.
But was a bucket underneath his head?
Yeah.
So it was high enough?
I don't know, it just dropped in there.
What's that?
It just dropped in there after I got the bone.
But it was high enough that it could stand up underneath the body, you know what I mean? So let's say the body visited the bed, the bucket was able to fit underneath there. Was that bed was high enough for a bucket to fit there? Or would it have to be on its side or something, bucket?
No, the book was just fine where it's at, on the edge of the bed,
On the floor or on the bed itself?
on the floor.
Okay.
So there's a box spring and then there's a mattress.
You know, what do you think should happen if somebody does something like this to somebody else?
I don't know, they obviously get prison time, I don't know. Whole lot, like, I don't know, this was out of random.
Think it was the right thing to do?
No, I did it anyway.
And I just want to clarify, when he had the chain around his neck, were you behind him
Yeah,
and kind of put just one end or two ends or the chain or? And just one, if you hold it, how to, you know, I mean, because if you wrap a chain around someone's head, you just hold one end of the chain, the other end is going to go loose.
no, so if you've seen, there was a ring, and there's two rings, and then like you can pull the chain from under the ring and then pull it back.
All right, so then a loop at the end of the chain that could go around, kind of like a dog choke collar.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, do you think it was a dog choke collar?
Could have been, very much so.
Was it that size?
It was that size, or a large dog.
All right. And so then you would have been, was you laying on the bed? Or kneeling, or something else?
He would have been, on his stomach.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Choker chain? Okay. And there were two of those, correct? You said there was one for you, one for, that was on him? Yours was
Yeah.
smaller?
Yeah.
Does this guy look familiar to you at all?
Mr. Gannon?
That agent?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one.
So he was lying face down on the bed? Or was he just on his hands and knees?
He was
Or?
lying face down on the bed.
Okay, you're on top of him. On his back?
Down, I was on his back.
Okay, all right. Pulling the chain back, okay. Right. Hopefully that, hope then, you know,
Did you guys find all the parts here?
still going through the process of looking. So, did you remove any other, you said you had the heart and the liver, how about the lungs? Did you remove all that from the chest cavity? Or did you leave them in there, or
It could be in there, yeah.
do you remember, or
They're all in plastic bags.
separate bags, or one big bag?
They're all in separate bags, like Walmart bags.
Oh.
And they're fine.
All right.
They're fine.
Long should we go? Okay. How you doing? You doing all right? You need anything, or hungry or anything, or
More than anything.
what?
I'm just wanting to.
Well, you're right. I mean, you don't need any food or eat out water, obviously. So if you need anything, or use the restroom, knock on the door, and then, you realize you you know, you're probably going to jail after this when we're done, so.
I didn't know that.
I'm just, you know, tell them what it is, and then I'll make screw around with it anyway, so.
Alright. Yeah,
No. You've been forthcoming with us, so we're gonna be forthcoming with you.
thank you.
And we appreciate it.
I mean, like Dave said, if somebody kills somebody and dismembers them, do you kind of think that person probably should go to jail?
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, this shit was fucked up, so, like, I don't even know, like, I'm like, god damn. Yeah.
Just so we know,
Yeah.
we see where we're coming from and what we got to do, and personal.
Sucks.
All right.
You need something? You said not important.
Thank you.
Detective Graf, the video that we all just watched, is that video accurate and consistent with what you recall from your in-person meeting with Taylor Schabusiness on February 23rd of 2022?
Yes.
Just want to address one thing. At the beginning of the video, she's wearing a yellow outfit. Toward the end, she's wearing a blue outfit. Can you explain that for the jury?
When she went to the hospital to have her thumb checked, the hospital changed her into the blue scrubs.
And then you indicated there was also the recorded interview from the 28th. I intend to play a much shorter portion of the interview from the 28th.
I think this is only 4 or 5 minutes. But the last video, yeah. How's that not guilty plea looking right now?
You know, so you took the ring fingers, is that why you hit Shaq's head? And you kept mentioning that you liked it.
I was gonna take it and then I just left it there. I was staring at it, I was looking at it, right as I was looking, right as I was gonna go up the stairs, and I just like, I left it there. Like I was gonna come back, I was gonna come back, and I left it there, and I had his foot.
Yeah. But you were gonna eventually take all the parts with you?
Yeah, I really don't know.
Did something spook you?
Oh, I kept on hearing like footsteps up and down the stairs, up and down the stairs, up and down the stairs, up and down the stairs.
Can I ask you a question? What would be then? Do you remember wiping up the concrete floor right then? You remember wiping up that?
No, before I speech, they were right there.
Okay. And then you put those in the bag, remember that? What did you do with those socks, please? What did you do?
I think, I had no idea what happened.
Okay, would you use those to wipe up the blood?
Yes,
Did you move the bed
yes I did,
to cover that up?
yes.
Okay. And you remember, cleaning like the you know, all the stand-up showers and then finished part of the basement? There's that shower. You clean that area up too?
Absolutely, that's my ability.
Like the water or whatever?
In that speech.
You used to speak, that's right, we were speaking. And instead of that, you know what you saw. Okay. You're feeling, were you anxious, angry, excited?
Well, when I woke up and I seen that this happened and there was like, the environment around me and I'm just like, it feels like I'm on a hidden camera TV show right now. And I was like, what the? Yeah, I was going crazy. So, I was really pissed off and freaking out a little bit.
So,
Yeah, very much so. One, the victim was like my friend, right? And two, it was an open area. Very open area. I didn't like that one bit. The dismemberment process was awful.
yeah. Can you go into the loop on that? That's questions for you to jump into that? Sure. Were you cleaning up so that you would get caught?
Well, yeah, to the best of my ability, I almost like appalled myself like 4 times because I'm like, there's no fucking way. There's people upstairs. there's people upstairs. I'm like, how am I gonna get away with this at all?
No one in your thoughts when you're
Yeah,
chopping them up.
yeah, I was just like, there's no way I'm gonna get away with this, and now I'm purpose food.
And that's part of the reason you put them in different bags or cleaning up, is that correct?
I was cleaning up, but then, like, when I said I was tripping out, my body looked like it was rebuilding itself because I already cut off his arm, and his arm came back on. I'm looking at this, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way, you know? And then, and I'm like, am I that high?
Would you cut it off again?
Yeah,
So,
it took forever. Oh,
yeah, I know Sean, because one of his arms had where you cut it. We never cut all of it.
yeah. That's weird because I cut it all the way off. And then, that's, I'm just saying that, like, I don't know.
Was it so easily moved then, because he was a bigger guy than you?
Because I'm looking at this, I'm like, how do I get Shad out of here? Can't just leave Shad here and be like, hey mom, Shad's dead. So, yeah.
And Detective Graf, the portion of the video that we just watched from the February 28th, 2022 interview, does that
Have a nice
accurately
lunch,
reflect
jury.
a portion of your interview with Ms. Schabusiness on that date, February 28th?
Yes, it does.
And I would formally move for the admission of Exhibit 110.
Any objection?
Your Honor, can I confer with Mr. Lissay for 1 minute?
Well, this is no good case to set on if you're in the jury, but it's also not a
That'll be
close
received.
case.
Detective Graf is not in the portion of the video that was recorded, but do you recall in the February 28th, 2022 interview, whether Ms. Schabusiness mentioned having any contact with Stephen Hendricks during this incident?
I recall that, if I recall correctly, I think at first she didn't mention that, but then later on she did.
And the contact relative to the eyeglasses?
Oh, yes, she did mention that at one point she did go up into the kitchen and had contact with Mr. Hendricks.
This game, you're not ready for it.
I have no further questions for Detective Graf. I don't know if the court wishes to take a break before cross-examination or...
Yeah.
We will. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 10 minutes to 12. I'm going to ask you to be back here in the jury room. We'll take an hour and 15 minutes, so try to be back shortly after 1:05 or so. So then we'll get underway promptly. Right? And all rise for the jury.
Well, that was absolutely disgusting. And so much for the not guilty plea. Get this puppy over with and get it over to the insanity phase. But that was stone cold. And I don't know that you see too many confessions like that in that great level of detail. I don't know if the defense is just going to try and pick it apart and say, well, this detail is wrong, or you coached her on this, that, or the other. I mean, you can do all that, of course, but nobody's coming away from this thinking that she didn't do it.
To bring up before we recess for lunch, Mr. Saunders?
No.
Mr. Fraley?
No.
Can I ask Mr. Saunders, or Mr. Lozay, either one, do you have a sense of how many more witnesses do you have? Or is this the last witness?
This is...
Yes, it's our last witness.
Okay.
The last
Then
witness of the
probably
state.
What I'm going to do is distribute a draft
Wow.
of proposed jury instructions so that you can start taking a look at that. My judicial assistant is out, but I'll try to have those on your desks by the time you return. Okay? Very good. Then we are in recess until 1 o'clock.
Your Honor, there is one other issue. The defense then would have Scott Tomes as a witness, but apparently he's unavailable. And I have him under subpoena, you know, the timing of his unavailability is suspect for me, but I've conferred with the prosecutors and they've advised that he is simply not available. So what we talked about was talking about potentially some agreed facts that could be presented to the jury. It's an unusual situation for me to be in, but you know, as a lawyer, when you issue a subpoena, witnesses, people are expected to appear. So I'm caught in a difficult spot.
Okay, well, you can address it to me when you come back at 1 o'clock, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Very good, we're in recess.
Thank you.
All right, so interesting development there, that if this witness won't show up, the state and the defense will try to come up with some agreed facts about this person or what he would say. So decent of the state, I think, to do that. And the state says this is their last witness, okay? So the defense can cross-examine this guy, then they will be their case, and apparently they intend to put on a case since he says this guy who's not available would be a witness for them. So they'll have a case that they want to put on. And that's it for lunchtime. That was pretty crazy, in my opinion, that whole situation. So anyway, thanks for coming by, guys, and talk to you later. And won't be streaming this afternoon, but of course there are many fine streams out there which one can enjoy. But I appreciate you guys being here and watching this with me, or more listening to it. I didn't watch her so much as just listen to it. And that was awful. And sometimes it's better to not experience awful things alone. Well, that's it. Thanks. Bye.